Yes, it's very
Oh
thick.
my god, that's a girthy American pickle right there.
That,
God bless the USA.
that looks like
Oh.
me.
Whoa! Isn't that an image for you, Natai, while you're thinking about eating that pickle?
This was such a
Bon appetit!
I can't even fit that in my mouth. Oh my god, wait.
Just like me.
Get out of here.
Lord.
Why do you have to be like this, man? Why can't you be normal? All right, I'm going in.
That ship sailed a long time ago. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Anime Club After Dark, the podcast that delves into all things anime, manga, and otaku culture related. I'm your host, Alex, but you can call me Senpai. And joining me tonight, I have our czar of source material, John.
Hi. I'm tired.
Hi, John. I will endeavor to make this as painless as possible for you. We also have our poser extraordinaire, Nitai.
It's good to be here with Alex. Yeah, I feel bad for John. Like you
Cheers.
seem. Yeah, cheers. We'll get through this quickly. It'll be fine. Just a chill, quick
Fine,
episode, right?
I'm just popping a quick reload on energy right now, so
He's gonna just
hopefully I don't
absolutely
fall asleep
die.
mid-recording.
He's gonna absolutely
Cheers.
just
It'll be fine.
collapse and die on his bed after we're done with this. But we have gotten together because we're going to do something a little fun tonight. This was another episode that was suggested by John. We haven't done actually, this was suggested by a viewer, wasn't it?
A viewer was like, "Hey, you guys should do more 3x3s," and I was like, "Yeah, we should probably do more 3x3s because they're fun,
Yeah.
they're easy to do,
And we haven't done one in a
and
while.
We haven't
It's
done
been
one
a
in
long
while, yeah.
time. Yeah,
I think the
since
last one we
one.
did was John and I doing the VTuber 3x3s.
Oh yeah, I think it
Oh.
was.
That was
it?
last
Yeah.
year. It was like
I think
last
the only ones we've
April
done
or
are
something?
like what top 3x3s of our
Favorite
our
Our
shows.
female
best boys, best
protagonists.
girls.
Yeah, best boy, best
That's
girl, and then the
two.
VTuber
That's
one.
right.
And then we
Yeah.
also did protagonists and villains, I believe.
I don't remember doing the villains one.
Or maybe we just did an episode where we talked about our favorite villains, and we
We
didn't
might
do
have
a
done.
We
a
3x3.
did that.
instead.
We did
Maybe.
that was my first episode. Actually.
I know we've done a couple episodes now where we've talked about some of our favorite anime villains. And maybe if I'll go back and look. If we haven't done a 3x3, maybe we will end up doing a 3x3 of our favorite anime villains. But yeah,
It wasn't
that is.
It wasn't
ahead.
a 3x3, but like remember that one pitch your romance show where we built our cast around like a
Oh, God.
romantic comedy. So that was a
don't
3x3.
get
but,
Pretty
like,
sure I wasn't on that one.
you
so, like,
weren't
that
there,
sounds
but it
dumb.
was fabulous.
that sounds dumb. I don't want to be there.
that was fun.
But yeah, we are going to be doing 3x3s of what we have labeled top anime, but we have left that up to each individual person to determine what that means. So it may be that we're doing our top 9 favorite anime ever, our top 9 favorite best animated anime ever. It could be anything. So I think we'll just go in alphabetical order. I will go ahead and start, and while we do that, I'm going to move us here. Say hello to Nagatoro, everybody.
Oh, we're being doxxed. They know what day we recorded this. Oh God.
Yes. Not only do you know the day, you also know the time.
You know
of
the
recording
exact time.
this.
Oh, hey, look, it's the bitch.
It's the bitch.
Oh.
I guess we'll go in alphabetical order though. We'll start with mine. So also,
Oh shit! There's my alarm
whoa,
to tell me to
whoa.
wake up for the recording,
wake up,
guys.
wake up,
Wake
John.
Wake up, wake up.
So
right.
it wasn't.
What was
like,
that alarm song?
What was that actually? Yes.
The freaking Baby No Money song. Shut up, leave me
Oh.
alone.
Okay.
Hello, how do you do, fellow kids?
Hey, my alarm is tank, so.
God damn.
Now we didn't have to have a theme with ours necessarily, but I kind of went with a theme. I want to see if you guys can figure out what it is, because this is my 3x3 for my top anime.
Oh, okay. Is there a
I feel like
theme
these are just
here?
like
from the
your
past
top
decade.
anime in
No, wait.
general. Like,
No,
I mean,
I
I
chose
I
I
see-
chose 8 different genres and a wild
yeah,
card.
I was like, I see your best comfy show. I see your best isekai, I guess, best rom com,
Interesting.
best adventure, best. I would say action for Ghost in the Shell. Is that what that is?
Sci-fi.
Sci-fi. All right.
Action is JoJo,
Yeah.
probably?
Shonen.
That's shonen.
Shonen.
Though isn't JoJo's technically a seinen? Isn't that?
I mean, some
No,
parts
JoJo
of it
is,
lean a little more heavily into the violence than others. That's for sure.
Yeah.
At least back then it was shonen. In part
Yeah.
5.
But yeah, so I guess do we want to just go in order? I'll go from left to right, top to bottom. So yeah, my best sci-fi that I chose, sci-fi anime that I chose was Ghost in the Shell. I can actually zoom in on this to make it a lot easier for people to see. Ghost in the Shell standalone complex. I thought about putting the original movie here, but I chose standalone complex because I think in terms of character development, it does it a lot better than the movie.
Phenomenal show. Absolutely
Phenomenal. The first two
Right.
seasons. The third season.
Yeah, no. Like Standalone Complex is the anime that I would fake go to sleep so that way my parents would thought I was sleeping. Then I'd turn on the TV silently and watch it so I could watch Standalone
Amazing.
Complex, like late night anime, because I was like, oh my god, this is such a good show.
Yeah.
Amazing.
There's so little wrong with standalone complex. Like I struggle to find any kind of criticisms with it. I just wish it was longer, and it is longer. But when it gets longer, it's not good.
You know what makes me sad though? The current state of Ghost in the Shell is just like an absolute
abysmal.
shame.
Yeah.
It
Like,
is.
After was it SAC 2042 and SAC's 2042 season 2 or whatever it was, I was just like, I can't believe
2042 or 2049.
2049.
No,
I don't
that's
remember.
Blade Runner 2049.
I have no idea. I thought it was 2042, but yeah, like the pivot to 3D in the current gen of Ghost in the Shell, like honestly, I'm not sure if you guys know about Nexon and how they had a shooter game, a hero shooter game based on Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, I remember that.
I have heard about this. Yes.
Back when I used to play like Maple Story, Vindictus, and stuff like that. I remember they got the rights to like that Ghost in the Shell game, and I was like, oh, I was so excited, you know. And now I look back on it, and ever since that game came out, like Ghost Break, whatever the fuck it was, Ghost in the Shell, Neural Network, whatever. I don't actually remember the title of the game. I don't think it's even around anymore, to be honest. I haven't looked into it for a long time now, but ever since that game got licensed and came out, Ghost in the Shell, the franchise, has just gone downhill. So I'm not saying Nexon killed Ghost in the Shell, but I'm saying Nexon killed Ghost in the Shell.
Would you say
Maybe.
Would you say Standalone Complex is the last good anime iteration of Ghost in the Shell? Because we had was it called Arise? I think
That
was,
sucked.
Right. That sucked. That was really bad.
And then 2049.
Oh, Arise came out after the SAC, and then 2049
Yeah.
came out, right?
So like there wasn't a
2042 or
really
2049,
Whatever,
it's
2040,
called.
whatever.
fantastic anime adaptation of Ghost in the Shell ever since.
Now, I don't know
Standalone
if
Complex.
Arise and 2042 are based on the like
2049.
actual Ghost in the Shell, or if they were just made to be anime only at tie-ins.
No, I
idea.
think their own like versions or their own takes on
Okay.
Ghost in the Shell, as far as
Yeah.
I could tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when I think about Ghost in the Shell, you know, as much as I didn't like the Western version of Ghost in the Shell, that wasn't nearly as bad as what we have now with the anime
True.
releases.
True.
Like, I
As
may
much
not
as we
like
do shit on
ScarJo.
ScarJo as the major, like that's still better than
yeah.
2042.
And God, the way that they were like, oh, the reason why ScarJo is she's supposed to be Asian, but she's not Asian, is because the doll that she's in right now is just so happens to be white, but she is Asian. Trust us. And I'm like, what? Why did they even include that in the movie? Yes, it
Yeah.
was so
Hilarious.
dumb. I'm like, why? Who cares? They're like, they cared about the critics being like, ScarJo's white, she can't play the major. I'm like, I don't have a problem with her being white playing the major. I have a problem with ScarJo just being a bad actor and playing Black Widow and everything she's ever in. Anyway,
but yeah, that's my top sci-fi anime. Moving on, I have Spice and Wolf. This is my favorite like drama anime because like while there is obviously a really good romantic component to Spice and Wolf, and I love it a lot, it is like still first and foremost a period drama.
I'm surprised you wouldn't put like Apothecary Diaries there, because that's really good.
You know, I thought about it, and I there's a couple other really good like period drama anime that I could have put here, but I gotta go. I can't do Holo dirty
yeah,
like that.
you
man.
can't do, especially with how much we gushed about the freaking remake. Like,
Yeah.
I get it.
And this
God,
is
it's so
obviously this is key art from the remake. The remake is so fucking good, man.
Has it exceeded your expectations when it comes
Yes.
to up in the story? Okay, that's cool.
Oh yeah.
It didn't just exceed my expectations. It obliterated my expectations.
Yeah, like it's updated designs, like it looks super pretty. The story is still the same, so it's like the story has always been good, and the development between the
music?
characters, the back and forth between Lawrence and Holo is still amazing. I love the voice actors, how they have like,
and they
have
brought
such
back the original voice actors, which is
they brought
nice.
back the original voice actors, and the chemistry that they have on screen is just like, oh, dude, it's so good. Oh,
How is
I
the
can't wait.
soundtrack? Because from the two
The
or so
soundtrack
episodes-
by Kevin Penkin, you
by
ask?
Kevin freaking Penkin. Because I loved, from the few episodes I've seen of the original, I love the atmosphere that the soundtrack had. Like, it's very, like, that sort of, like, I just loved it. So I was like, so obviously Kevin's, like, incredible. But I wonder, like, if
So,
it kind
my
of
only
gravitates towards the
complaints-
original, or is it, like, its own thing?
I mean, I think it's way better than the original. The original was
Yeah.
not bad by any means, but
It was pretty
the only
good.
complaint I had was like as much as I like Claris, I don't think their ED was nearly as good as Seven Apples on the Witch's Tree. I love that song so much; it's so good. But the first OP was like, it's reminiscent of the first OP of the original run. It was good, but bro, when Ame when Amer comes on with that second OP, whoo, baby, it solidified it. Woo!
God bless.
Let me
him.
tell you.
I remember when this was airing and John was watching it. He's like, Alex,
Alex, wake up! Don't sleep. Did you watch the newest episode of Love
you've
Spike
got to
Wolf?
wake up right now.
Dude, it was so good, so good.
But yeah, my love for Spice Wolf knows no bounds. Next, I have Frieren. I have this is my favorite fantasy anime.
Ooh.
Okay.
Again, watch our Frieren spoiler cast if you haven't to hear us gush about that for nearly 2 hours.
What solidified it as your favorite fantasy?
Well, first of all, fantasy is a really
because-
hard sell for me. So it was already on. I already had an uphill battle when it first premiered. But there's something about because like you could take the fantasy aspect out of Frieren, and I think it'd still be a good adventure story.
So the thing in my mind is that what makes a good fantasy story for me is obviously the world building, but it's about the adventure, right?
Yeah.
In a fantasy, because
The
I like
adventure is so good.
because as a fantasy, it has such cool things in it, like magic, sword fights, dragons,
Zoldrake.
the ancient history and stuff like that. So obviously, world building is top notch. It's a requirement in fantasy for me, but also the adventure, the journey itself. Like this literally is the Beyond Journey's End. It's like it happens after the hero story ends. So we're
I love
watching
that
Frieren like
shtick.
go through that.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's so
amazing.
unique.
It's so
It's so
introspective.
unique that you get a story. I mean, we've had stories that start in the beginning, but then there's like a flashback, and then you see the actual
Right.
story. The story, the big heroic story, is over.
And Evan Call does an amazing job with the
Yeah.
soundtrack.
I
And
love that
in our
soundtrack.
review, I described it like when you're watching Frieren, it feels like I'm watching a long fucking movie, like Lord of the Rings, where it's like I'm just on an adventure through the fucking books with you. That's great. I love it.
Yeah. And like the dynamic between the three main characters of Frieren, Fern, and Stark is great. That dynamic between them is really fun to watch.
Throughout that entire
Now,
show, I'm like, Stark
I
and
kind
Fern,
of
like,
want to
Yeah, you do it. Just do it.
yeah, I know,
ship
right?
them so hard.
I wonder if because I'm anime only for Frieren. I wonder if the manga does nearly a good enough job because I feel like it's all the elements of the anime that make me love it a lot. The art, the animation, the soundtrack. The voice acting is fucking phenomenal.
I mean,
In
the
English
writing
and
is
the
still
Japanese.
there in the manga, I suppose, because the writing is one of the things that I like really gravitated towards in the show. So I would,
Right.
but it is a strong production. It's crazy, like the shit they pull with the animation and the music, as you said. Like it all coalesces together, right? It's amazing.
I think I said this when we were doing the spoiler cast, but with Evan Call's soundtrack, he makes it so that you could literally not have the anime playing and just listen to the music. The music alone tells the story
Tells the
really
story,
well.
yeah.
Right.
It's so good, and there's a lot of elements that come together just to make it such a great fantasy and a great adventure story. It's also, at least right now, I would say it's one of the greatest anime ever made. And maybe a little recency bias plays into that. I don't know, but still.
I mean, it's definitely solidified itself in my top 10 of all anime of all time.
Oh, for sure.
It's that good.
It's fantastic.
All right. Next, I have
All
JoJo's
right.
Part 5.
Part 5 specifically, not JoJo's.
It's
the
part
series.
5 specifically. Now, I
Okay.
love all of JoJo's in different ways. I love each of the parts in their own way. Except 6. But
Oh, don't get me started, bro. Let's not start it here.
I like 6. I just don't like the ending of it.
We'll get to it.
But
Bro, I haven't
like
seen
JoJo's
6 yet.
Part
like,
5.
You can't do this to me. Like,
I like JoJo's Part 5 specifically because I've talked about this with Natai before. I think of all the JoJo's, even 7, as much as I adore Part 7, which hasn't been animated yet, I think this one has the best ensemble cast. Like,
okay.
it's
The
just, they're
squad.
so fun to watch together. Like, yeah, the squadron. Like, they're so fun to watch together because they all have different. They're very different. Every single character is so different, and they play off of each other so well. Like you got Abakio playing off of Bucciolati. Like he's like Bucciolati's like this super serious guy, and Abakio's like the instigator, like poke, 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 poke.
And you got a whole shit between like Narancha and Fugo, how they're like this very
Well,
extremely
Narancha
intimate-
and everyone. Let's be perfectly honest.
True. Also, that it's kind of crazy to see because Part 5 is not my favorite, but it's crazy to see how far deep Araki is into writing this show, this like series, and he still like tops himself every single time. Like the fights that happen, the crazy amount of wild ideas he goes through, and but also the cohesiveness of the themes in Part 5 especially, I think has some of the best writing Araki has ever done. And it's so much fun to go through and watch, and you're so invested in the characters as well. And again, Part 5 might not be my favorite, but I can totally see it as being the best one out of the animated parts.
Do you know that Part 5 also has one of my favorite visual things ever that's ever happened in JoJo's? And it's a callback to something that happens in Part 3. It's that scene where Polnareff is looking up at Dio in Part 3, and then in Part 5 he's looking down at Diavolo.
There's so many good like moments in
He's
Part
looking
5
up at God and down at the devil.
and also like that's again, everything in Part 5 works together so freaking well. And it's you can tell this guy is like a master at his craft. Like it's
Yeah.
and also the anime just elevates the source material, which is crazy.
It does.
Like
This is definitely one of the parts of JoJo's, at least it's been animated so far, that I really think does a great job at elevating the source material. As good as the source material already was, like it elevates it even more. And I think this one does it to a higher degree than any of the other parts that are animated so far.
See, I'm very interested when we eventually get through all of the animated JoJo's and our reviews to have a sit down and a ranking of all the parts.
yes.
Because I know what I know what Natai's favorite part is. And he might not agree. He's not going to agree with my ranking list.
Well, and you obviously know what
when
my
we
favorite
talk
part
about
is.
Yeah, that's right. It's part 5.
We'll get to it when we get to it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why I put it here as my favorite shonen. I thought about putting Naruto here as my favorite shonen.
Oh, that's a really good pick too.
Because I love Naruto as well, and I know Natai is in the
Also
middle of
has an
watching
amazing
Naruto.
soundtrack, great writing other than like certain parts.
I'm just so happy you're finally at the part where you've met Mike Guy, and I'm so happy.
Guy is a wonderful guy.
Yes, he is.
Oh, Guy Sensei. Oh god.
All right, so my middle square here is the Monogatari series. Now I have the art here for part 2 or sort of season 2, second season, because it is my favorite part of the Monogatari series. But this is really for the Monogatari series as a whole. It is my wild card. I couldn't put the Monogatari series into a single genre. I didn't know what.
It's just Monogatari.
It's Monogatari. It's unclassifiable. Natai and I have an entire spoiler cast series dedicated to telling you why it's one of our favorite things ever. I highly recommend you go watch it if you really want to hear our
For you and the 12
thoughts.
other fans of Monogatari, dude.
Oh, fuck off. There's a lot of fans of Monogatari. Fuck
There
off.
are tens of us. Tens!
I mean, I don't know
Dude,
if I can...
Monogatari is one of the best anime that no one has ever heard of, for good reason, okay? Everyone knows of it because of the fucking Two Frets
It is
scene.
massive in Japan, though. It is massive.
I mean,
in,
it's. I will admit that it has a huge cult following, sure, but I don't see Monogatari as like a mainstream anime that you can just kind of recommend.
No, definitely.
Oh
not.
God, no.
And that's kind of the problem with Monogatari. It's like
It's not for
its
everyone.
greatest strength is also its greatest weakness.
Yeah.
It's a show that if it clicks with you, it fucking clicks, man. You know, it's like it's not for everyone, but for those it hits like just the right spot. They can't stop thinking about it, and I think I think there's something about that that's like really fucking cool, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it's dialogue, man. The dialogue is so well written.
It's even like the dialogue, the visuals, the level of dedication that every single arc has its own fucking OP sang by its main heroine. It's like shit's great, man. Fucking love this show.
I don't know, bro. Monogatari seems to be getting replaced by Bunny Girl Senpai. Like,
Fuck that shit.
it's getting
Listen,
topped by it in the ranking charts,
there's
bro.
1 out of
if
10
there's
anime.
something, if there's something I love, is seeing Alex get triggered by Bunny Girl Senpai.
I fucking hate
It's
the
so
fact
popular.
It's popular because it's fucking Monogatari for babies.
For the
It's
record,
Monogatari without all the dialogue and depth.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's watered down
mean-
Monogatari. I enjoyed it, but it's not. Yeah,
I couldn't stop comparing it to Monogatari.
It's
and be
hard
like,
not
This is just
to.
a shitty
It's
version of
very hard not to.
Monogatari.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Definitely.
if you've never seen Monogatari, and especially if you know nothing about Monogatari, and you watch Bunny Girl Senpai and you think, oh, this is really good, I don't blame you. But then you watch Monogatari, it's like, wow, that was shit compared to this.
yeah. But again, Monogatari is not for everyone. Like it's
not.
harder. Monogatari is a harder sell than Bunny Girl Senpai.
And it's certainly not an anime for beginners.
no.
Don't be like me and be like your second anime you ever watched be Evangelion. Just don't do it.
Oh god,
Damn.
I was also 8 years old when I watched Evangelion. For the
bro.
first
I
time.
feel like at 8 years old you could enjoy Ava because it's like all you see is giant mechas fighting. Oh,
I mean,
that's how I was when I was a
Yeah.
little babby watching Evangelion. That's all I thought about.
Oh, why did
I watched
girl?
it.
Why is this
No,
girl
I watched
on
it.
a rope?
I thought, ooh, fighting robots. Ooh, redhead, nice.
Yeah. Oscar Langley.
Oh, German.
German, you say?
No.
Sprechen Sie Deutsch? Yeah, Monogatari really is in a class of its own, and that's why it's kind of my wild card because it's really hard to classify what genre it actually falls under.
I mean, I'd say it's more supernatural than anything, right?
Yeah, I guess it kind of leans to that urban fantasy kind of thing, I guess.
But it's also like a drama in itself, right?
Yeah.
And there's a romance aspect to it.
There's a lot of
It's-
tags in that. I don't
It's
know.
a lot of things.
It's Monogatari is what it is.
It's yeah, exactly.
In the league,
It's a
of, its own.
Jinx. All right, next, my favorite romance anime is Wotakoi. John, I cannot thank you. I cannot thank you enough for not only convincing me to read Wotakoi, but to watch the anime.
I was so glad the anime adaptation. It basically is just the PowerPoint version of the manga. with enhanced bits here and there. But the thing is, the manga is really good. I've discussed it before, but the mangaka for this, she posted on, was it Pixiv? I believe it was Pixiv, where
This is where it started. It was on Pixiv.
Seriously.
So it's a rags to riches story, right? Where she based these characters off of people that she knew in real life. So these character designs are inspired by her friends and family in real life. But she made up this entire storyline of working adults and stuff like that. And she created a one shot, I believe, or had the art out on her Pixiv, and then a editor saw that on Pixiv and was like, "Yo, this is really good," and contacted her. I was like, "How would you like to make this into a series?" Which so started cool. All of it. Yeah, it's like she was so good at it that she was reached out to. It was like, "Hey, we can turn this into an actual manga and then subsequently an anime."
It's like that old Hollywood story. Hey, Toots, sign on the dotted line. I'm gonna make you rich.
Yeah, basically. And I'm so glad for it because I absolutely adore Wotakoi. It's in my top 10 of romance anime. I wouldn't say it's my number one. My number 1 through 5 probably change on a daily basis on my mood because it depends on what kind. Am I looking for sappy romance? Am I looking for realistic
sad
romance? But yeah, sad romance. But or bad romance.
Bad romance.
I mean, if you want a really sad romance story, watch Rumbling Hearts. That'll make you legitimately cry.
Yeah, Wotakoi is fun. It's campy. The character designs they're adorable. And I just love the interactions between all the characters.
These two are the main couple, right? But these two right here, that's where it's at. Those are goals. These two right here, goals.
So the manga ended, right?
Think so?
Ended?
I know.
I haven't caught up with it.
I haven't watched Wotakoi yet, but I know.
I know it celebrated its 10-year anniversary or something, and new character art or something came out. My wife was telling me about it because she saw the art and was like, "Oh, pretty! I want to read that." I'm like, I've been talking about Wotakoi for years, and now because you saw the art and someone told you about it, now you want to read it, not because I said it's a good love story. What the hell?
How dare
we own it on Blu-ray? Just watch the anime.
Yeah. I need to watch it.
It's good. I like it.
Wait,
so
how do you
much.
know the opening song, but you don't know the phrase?
Bro, the opening's a banger.
It's a banger, bro. It's a banger.
Okay, yeah.
It's one of those rare cases where I am aware of the OP without watching the show.
No, I love it because there's a lot of romance anime out there. There's a lot of really good romance anime out there. I think there's a couple on y'all's list of 3x3s that we're going to talk about that are really good romance anime. I like it because a lot of anime romances focus on high school romances, which are fine. But these are all full-grown adults working jobs, 9 to 5, salary peoples, and it's relatable. It's so relatable.
And, I think it helps that it's centered around, otaku stuff.
Yeah.
Finding love as a weeb. It's there's the people, because it starts with Momo. Is that her name? I don't remember the main character. Pink girl name.
They're all color coded. That's also something I love about this anime is that every
cute.
every character is color coded.
But yeah, it starts off with her and she's trying to hide the fact that she's a weeb. But she can't find romance like that because the minute the mask slips, she's like, "Oh God, you're a fucking weeb." It's yes, I'm a weeb. Yes, I like idols. It's
yes, I like boys kissing.
Well, that's kind of one of the things that there are certain hobbies that you don't necessarily need to share a hobby, but you need to be okay with their hobbies, right?
Yeah.
And that's part of the adult romancing. When people go out and date, you want to present the best version of yourself to them, but you can't really present yourself to them right away because sometimes you're fucking crazy. That's why, where I live in the Pacific Northwest, everybody likes fishing, everybody likes hiking. They're all outdoorsy people, and I've met a lot of people who are that are completely that. It's they go fucking ultra light backpacking and stuff. They're gonna head with one backpack, live in the woods for 2 weeks, and they live for that. They go climb up mountaintops and stuff like that, and that's super cool. But because we live in a mountainous region and people like to do that, everyone likes to say that because that's the thing you have to say. Oh yeah, I like the outdoors. I like fishing, camping, hunting. The blah blah blah. It's in reality, it's not. They don't really they don't mind it, but then it's not their actual passion. Yeah. And that's kind of what Wotakoi deals with, where it's you have working adults who have passions outside of their work, but they're also working adults and they know how to balance that. But in their free time, they can, even though they have similar but conflicting interests, like the main character guy, he's a game otaku. He's not like an actual anime otaku. And then the girl is like, the main girl is like, she's a actual otaku. She likes idols and she likes boys love stuff.
And loves manga.
Yeah. So it's like, it's different types of weebness, and it's funny because it's like, that's how my dynamic is with my wife, where it's like we're both like weebs, sure, but whereas I have a podcast and I talk about random anime and I like watching and reading different things, she has like her shoujo and like boys love stuff, and it's like we have a shared interest of anime in general, sure, but we don't share the same interest in it, and that's okay. And that's what I really like about Wotakoi, portraying that aspect.
Yeah.
It seems like such an adorable little show.
It is. You should watch it.
Yeah,
you 100% should watch it.
I will.
All right. Moving on. I have Yuru Camp as my favorite slice of life.
All right. I need this. So, sell me on Eurocamp, because I know how much you love this show, and I need to understand and I'm not. This is not like any like I'm opposed to this show, but is it coming from?
I don't need to be sold on Eurocamp, okay?
I want to understand it.
So here's the thing: you have to understand about Iashike.
Iyashike, which is a subgenre of slice of life. It literally means healing.
So comfy shows, okay? This subgenre of slice of life called healing shows, or comfy shows, as I would call them, because it makes more sense in English. These type of shows exist to just watch, and you just feel good about watching it. Like, there's not depth, there's not a huge deep story, there's no fucking stakes involved.
There's no drama.
There's no drama, and there could be romance, there might not be romance. It doesn't really matter. Some have it, some don't. But a lot of Iyashike are just like Pokozu Dawn World is an Iyashike to me, because it just heals my heart. It's just, you watch it and it's cute, and it's just like
So you say that. How do you take that and make 3 seasons out of it?
And a movie.
Because it's very popular.
Like, that's a lot of mileage.
And it's getting a 4th season.
So Eurocamp is a little bit special in the Iyashike genre because it hits in a field that, all right, small tidbit history. In Japan, not a lot of people take vacations. When they do take vacations, they don't like travel abroad. They'll do like weekend trips or day trips, and especially they'll go camping or go to the sea. This is why we see it so much in animes and in tropes and shit like that, as an anime trope or as a trope. Yeah, because this is something that a lot of Japanese people do. They'll have like a free weekend and they'll be like, "Oh, I'm gonna go camping for the day," or "I'm gonna go fishing for the day," which is why they're like, "Oh, are you beach person, mountain person?" And newsflash, Japan is a very beautiful country, not just in the cities, but everywhere else. It's got a lot of ocean, or it's on island, so it's got ocean everywhere. It also has a like northern snowy mountainous region, and has
beautiful
a southern like Hawaiian island region, right?
Yeah.
It's got it's basically all the comforts of like what you would want condensed, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, if I wanted to travel to freaking Hawaii, I could take a 6-hour train ride and get there. Yeah. If I wanted to, actually, you can't get a train there. You have to fly there. It's an island. But if I wanted to go to like up north, I could take a 6-hour, 9-hour train ride to go up north to go experience camping in like the freaking ice mountains and stuff like that.
Yeah, like near Sapporo or something.
So the fact that this show showcases a lot of spots you could go and travel and look at, there's a lot of domestic tourism in Japan for this very reason, and Eurocamp is about the domestic tourism, which is like, it's a double plus for the Japanese government, the Japanese economy, and it's just about a group of girls who enjoy their company together and just go and camp and just enjoy nature. That's it. That
the
is
whole
all
show.
it is. I have not seen Eurocamp, but this is what my basic understanding of it is and why it would be so popular, because this is a popular hobby for a lot of Japanese people.
It also helps that the anime has amazing background art.
I would also say there's a double caveat to this. Not caveat, I don't know what the word is, but there's also the fact that, you know, when you work a office worker drone life, there's something about the mountains and a simple like way of living that calls to you.
It's like a side effect,
right? Yeah, it's kind of just like a general feeling that people will yearn for, where like, I don't want to be a corporate drone anymore. I just want to turn off my brain, fish, grill food on an open fire, and just see the stars.
Yeah. That's it. That's how I sell you on YouTube Camp. John just said it all.
I sold it. The guy who's never seen it is selling it to you.
Interesting.
And it does. It literally it makes you feel very comfy watching it.
Okay.
I would argue if you're like I would argue if you're sad or depressed or feeling lonely, watch like Yuta Camp or any ESGK for that matter. Flying Witch, Pokozudon World, Sweetness and Lightning. It doesn't matter. Just watch one of them. It'll make you feel a lot better about yourself and your lot in life. I guarantee it.
Well, it's sometimes just nice to watch a show that doesn't have high stakes and we don't have to worry about drama.
True.
It's just enjoy the characters and them getting along. That's it.
And you do learn a little bit about camping along the way.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. So my next one is my favorite comedy anime, Nichijou. I adore Nichijou.
Suplex that deer.
Suplex, German suplex that deer. This has like a little bit of every type of comedy. It's got a lot of physical comedy. It delves into straight man and foil type comedy. It also delves into like sarcasm type comedy. It just has every single type of comedy ever, and it's fucking hysterical. Every single episode of this show makes me laugh. There's not a single episode that went by when I watched it I did not laugh at something really hard.
Amazing production as well. Like
an amazing production value.
Incredible animation.
KyoAni, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
It is KyoAni. All right.
Which is like, here's $50 billion. Make the best comedy anime you could never make.
Yeah, Nichijou is probably one of my favorite comedies as well. But that's mainly because there's not too many comedies out there that I could rank highly. Like, I don't highly regard a lot of comedies that come out because they're not that funny. Because it doesn't seem like there's a lot of very many pure comedy shows out there.
Yeah, they always mix up something in it, whether it's action or romance or whatever. Like, there's very few pure comedies, you're right.
Well, like, I can think of, like, Assassination Classroom as a comedy.
Yeah.
But it's also
although it has
comedy.
some action in it.
Yeah, it's action comedy, and then there's, like, drama.
Yeah, it's a comedy until it's not a comedy anymore. Like, Gintama is a comedy.
And then it's fucking
sad.
Gintama
is a comedy until it's not a comedy. Until it's like, oh, we have main story stuff to discuss.
It's a shonen show. Fuck.
I mean...
Yeah.
I mean, you could also argue, like, Konosuba is a comedy until it's a fucking fantasy show.
Yeah,
I think Konosuba is more of a pure comedy.
Yeah, I'd say... I mean... I've only seen season 1, so I can only speak to season 1.
God damn it, John! God damn it!
I am never watching the rest of Konosuba, dude. I'm just not gonna do it. Out of pure spite now.
There were some other anime I considered putting here as my favorites, but the more I thought about it, I thought Nichijou was like it scratched all the itches for me. I thought about putting Cromartie High School on here because that's hysterical. I thought about putting Daily Lives of High School Boys because that's incredibly funny as well. I also thought about Konosuba, but I thought, well, I also have Best Isekai on this list, and it's like, well, that's also an Isekai.
Yeah, I'd say Nichijou is definitely top 5 for me. But also Cromartie High and Daily Lives of High School Boys, like those are in my top 5 for sure.
You mean
if not top 3? Because
Ghost Stories is the best comedy ever, bro.
The dub.
Bro, Ghost Stories made me want to like just end my life. It was so bad. Like I'm like this show it's good in like YouTube Shorts format. Okay.
Yes.
It's good in small chunks where it's like, here's the punchline, because for every one punchline that they land, they miss about 10 other ones.
They're
and
so
that's
good.
The unfortunate.
But
That's
there are
the
some good
unfortunate
quotes
thing
in
about
there.
it.
There are some good quotes in there. What happened? I hope to God you're adopted. And the whole thing, it could never work out, not because you're a rabbit, but because you're black.
His little reprimands. Touch me harder.
Those are good. Those are the good things. But I do agree with John. There are things in the dub that don't land either. But no, I think Nichijou is a great, like, pure all-around comedy. And it's got physical comedy in it that will just never get old. Like, the thing where they go to the shrine to get out of the rain, that shit's hysterical, man.
The bad day.
The bad day.
Oh, that's so
that
good because it's
that
completely
shit is-
silent too. They don't say
there's
anything.
no dialogue whatsoever, and it's fucking it's Three Stooges level of like physical comedy, and it's great.
Oh yeah, and they go super hard on some animations, like when they have to split open the pumpkin, the kabocha.
Yeah.
They like super nuke it from the sky, and they can't crack it.
All right. Last one I have on here is Mushoku Tensei. I have it on here as my top isekai. I
Man.
am John.
This is
John
a genre
knows,
that Alex hates, so I'm surprised
I
he even
don't-
put it on here.
I don't hate it. I just think it's a very difficult sell for me because so many of them are so similar.
Yeah,
Which
very
means
similar.
bad.
But I feel like with Mushoku Tensei, it's definitely it has some similar tropes and elements, especially in the beginning.
How can it have similar tropes when it was literally the first? Everything is actually a derivative of Mushoku Tensei, actually.
True.
Okay,
It's
but
crazy
the
to
anime
think-
didn't come first.
But it's
That's
crazy
true,
to think
but-
how much it got right as like the first like major isekai, right? Like that.
Yeah.
You talk about like the beginning of the show. Those like first few episodes with just this like small family at their like small village, I still think is some of the best like just few episodes I've seen in a good long time. Like the building the relationship, the family dynamic, everything that goes down those first like 6 to 7 episodes. It's like the show is not like that old, but I feel nostalgic thinking back to watching them for the first time. You know, it's so good.
With Mushoku Tensei, the one thing that sets it apart as like a really good isekai is that it has an actual story outside of like, your typical isekai story is I reincarnated as something either goofy, like a vending machine, hilarious by the way, love that anime,
Overpowered.
love that light novel, or I reincarnated as a sword, or I reincarnated as a bath,
Slime.
hot spring. I reincarnated as a slime. And then there's like the OPMC trope that is prevalent in a lot of isekai where it's like I reincarnated into this other world and I have the strongest blacksmithing skill, alchemy skill, so on and so forth. And
There's also the reverse of that where I reincarnated as someone who's incredibly weak, and now you got to watch me build myself up.
yeah, but then they like super level themselves too. But
So
but
they're
the
still
point
OP.
is, a lot of these isekai show they focus on that one singular trope of like I'm the best at X, or I was the worst at X, but now I've become OP because of Y. Ari Fureta's like that.
Fuck
one
you,
right
Ari
now,
Fureta,
fucking-
man.
Ari Fureta, dude, it's so bad.
It's a
gotten so
miracle it
bad.
has so many seasons. It's amazing.
It's a miracle how they keep getting money and somehow they keep spending less of it
Bro.
on the animation.
Bro, Rent a Girlfriend has 3 seasons. Don't give me any kind of shit about something
Bro,
getting multiple seasons.
Rent a Girlfriend is the fucking masterpiece compared to
Oh,
Ari
fuck,
Fureta.
Bro, if
You-
Rent a Girlfriend is not on your list, then you're not qualified to say that anymore. But
Bro, I'm the only one here who capital S suffered through 2 seasons of that shit. I'm the only authority on Rent a Girlfriend, unfortunately.
yeah,
Fucking
but
piece of
to
shit.
me, the reason why
Keep going.
Mushoku Tensei really stands out is because it has an actual story that is about a dude redeeming himself and
Yeah.
reinventing himself.
I also like the fact that it harkens back to constantly harkens back to the fact that he has been reincarnated. He comes from another world. There are so many isekai where the reincarnation or the transportation to another world happens, and then it's like, oh, we're just gonna forget about everything that came before. It's like, no, every so often in the story, you're very obviously reminded of the fact that Rudy does not come from this world.
And I
You know,
think
Slime
like,
Tensei does that as well.
Yeah, it's kind of one of the reasons I like Slime Tensei a lot too.
and I think the main strength of the show is like John touched on it, but I think the really main strength is how even though it's about it's a whole different world, it's a fantasy world, it's still world filled with all these people that Rudy meets along the way, whether it's his family or like companions he meets along the way in his journey, and it's still very much grounded in like the people that live in this world and their like complexities and their emotions and the lives that they go through. And I think that's
And
like
every single character is deeply flawed.
yeah, very much so. And it's captivating to see them just being people, right? They live through this like very difficult times they're experiencing. Like there's so many scenes in the first season where it's hard to watch, man. Not because there's like anything gruesome necessarily, but just, you know, whether it's like a father and a son having a fight, or a family like almost on the verge of breaking apart. It's just these very human moments where it's just grabbing you, and you can't stop watching it. You're so invested in these characters. It's
Yeah. I mean, they're like the end of the first season. I got
love that
secondhand
ending.
embarrassment for Rudy based on what happened to him. Like, bro, you need a hug. Let me give you a hug, man.
that final scene in that first season just like blew me away. Like when I finished that first season, I sat there and I was like, man, that was a show. That was an anime. Like, fantastic.
Yeah. There's very few anime that get me like that, but I can say it's like that too. It's like that meme of the horse just staring off in the distance. It's a man.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's my my 3x3 right there for my top anime in 8 different genres plus a wild card.
Good
Right, so
shit,
we'll
man.
move on.
Good list.
Yeah, we'll move on to John's 3x3, and I have been informed by John that there is a theme he wishes for us to derive from it.
I
Okay.
want you to look at them and tell me what the theme is.
All right. So
I'm
this
excited.
is John's list, or John's 3x3 right here. So we got code.
To list them out, we have Code Geass, Clannad After Story, Cowboy Bebop, Anohana, Rave of the Fireflies, Angel Beats, Cyberpunk Edgerunners, Plastic Memories, and Violet Evergarden.
Shows that made you cry.
I mean,
That's close. That's not.
Close?
That's kind of the theme, but that's kind of close.
No Gurren Lagann. I thought that you would have Gurren Lagann in this on your list. Okay.
I think I know what the theme is. All of these involve loss of some kind.
That's a pretty good guess. My theming for this was shows that I love that I hated I watched. Like, I don't regret watching these shows, but man, did these shows fuck me up.
They hurt you.
That is the theme.
That's good.
Show
good.
John, show me where the anime touched you.
No, it's like, I just started off because I was like, shit, what should I do with mine? I was like, maybe I'll just do top of every genre, or like my top 9 anime of all time or something. And as I was compiling the list and looking through like Mal's top list, like get an idea of what shows I want to put on there, I was just like, you know what? I'm going to do shows that I loved but also hurt me. Like,
That's great.
That's not
it's
bad.
just terrible.
That's good. We should do a whole episode
that's
about that
actually-
idea.
That's not bad. We should definitely do an episode where we just talk about anime that hurt us.
Man,
And-
good shit.
And you're right. I did. And Natalia, you were the closest one because all of these shows did make me cry at certain
All of
points.
them.
Some
Okay.
more than others, but
Okay.
they all make me cry because it's like they're also really good. And that's the thing. These are shows that I would love to recommend to people, but also they need to be prepared. Like to just like
Need
be okay.
a proper mental state.
Well, I mean, don't be at the end of your rope and watch these shows. Dear God, no. But it's hard for me to like. These are shows that you will see in top lists all the time, and people recommend them because they think, oh, it's a great show, and it's like, yeah, they're great shows, but these are shows that will hurt you.
They come with a price.
Yeah, and it's like I don't regret watching these shows, but man, did they fuck me up.
So quick question. I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but which of these shows made you cry the most?
I feel like it's cheap, but yeah, the center, yeah, Grave of the
Okay.
Fireflies, like that one, that's the cheapest one, dude.
That's
that
the
is the
cheap
cheapest
answer.
one.
Is
It made me
Clannad
cry
number
so
2?
bad. But they all made me cry at certain
Okay.
points. Some more than others. Like I'd say probably Anohana, and then probably Plastic Memories, and then probably Code Geass.
I've seen
like,
all
in
of
the
these
4.
except for Plastic Memories. That's the only one I haven't seen from your list.
Bro,
It's pretty
it's-
good, man.
It's gonna make you cry.
Yeah, I love a good.
That
show
one is
can
just
make me
like-
cry.
See, that's the thing. All of these shows, they make you feel good, but also make you feel real bad. And you were close. Gurren Lagann was gonna go in here. It really was. But I was like, nah, I'm gonna put in something. I'm gonna put in Cyberpunk Edgerunners instead because I feel like that's more recent. And we talk about Gurren Lagann so much anyway. Like, But we also
Yeah.
talk about all these shows a lot. Actually, I don't think we talk about Plastic Memories that much, to
We
be
haven't.
honest.
But we did somewhat recently do a movie review of Grave of the Fireflies.
Yeah, we did that one, and
Also, Angel
Yeah, it's
Beats.
just-
I don't think we have talked about it that much over the years.
No,
we haven't
you know,
talked about that one in
you know
a
what?
while.
What kills
but-
me is I hear a lot of people now, even older people who have like watched anime for a while, say that Angel Beats is overrated. I'm like, you don't get the message that it's going for.
I do think it kind of falls apart by the end of it, but I do like it.
I
I do
think
like
that Angel
it,
Beats
but
does fall apart. Well, the problem is that it's
it introduces so many great characters, and when you get to the ending, it's like, let's put them all to the side, and it's like, you don't get the closure you want from these characters because
I think
all of
the
them are so
pitfall-
endearing, you know.
the pitfall of Angel Beats is that it's a who's the visual novel people? Visual K. I think that's the group,
no,
right?
Visual Key.
No, what's
Visual
his
Key.
name? What's his fucking name? It's the Charlotte guy, and also,
And Clinad.
let me look it up.
Canon.
I'll look
He's
it
a
up real quick.
composer, but he also writes. Yes.
look it
What
up
is
real
his
quick.
name?
I got it.
Yeah. So, I just my theme is animes that fucked me up.
All right.
All good picks. Definitely recommend anyone who wants to watch anime, wants a good anime, but be prepared that it might fuck you up. Please, I recommend watching all of these shows.
Also,
my
do
first
keep
one-
in mind that Code Geass only has 2 seasons.
Jun
Yes.
Maeda.
Jun
Yes.
Maeda, yes, that's his name. Fuck him.
He has a very stereotypical style of writing. Once you watch all of his shows or play all his visual novels, you understand how he writes. So it's like it's
Great
kinda
music
cheap.
composer, though.
But I'm gonna start off with Code Geass season 1 and 2. Code Geass
Phenomenal
remains
show.
one of my top anime of all time.
It's a classic.
I understand that some people are like, oh, it's not that good. It was good when you were 14, and I have rewatched Code Geass so many times, dude. I've like outside. I watched it when I was a teenager, loved it, and then I kept watching it, and I continue to watch it to this day. I'll rewatch season 1 and 2, then I'll cry at the very end, when they're doing the last fucking yada yada over, like the music's playing and we're like getting
Oh,
the,
that
like,
ending theme
the
is-
epilogue, and I'm like, he did it!
That's
He
our
brought
soundtrack
peace
is-
to the world.
That's our
It's so
soundtrack. It's
good.
amazing.
Now, I do understand that the art is not that great because it's
I will
planned.
say, if there's anything about Code Geass that is not aged well, it is the character
What?
designs.
Clamp is amazing, bro. Have you seen their fucking sharp as knife's neck? Like, look at how pointy it is.
Oh, bro. I
love
will admit
Clamp.
it doesn't look that great, but I still absolutely adore the story.
I love Clamp.
It's got action, it's got drama, and at the very end, it fucks you up because of what happens. Like, rewatching this, just like Gurren Lagann, when after I rewatch it, I realize there's more nuance to the story, and it's like it blows my mind every time I rewatch it. It's like, oh, there's so much more here to talk about and uncover, guys. It's such a good story. And it's held up in my opinion. Like the last time I rewatched Code Geass was probably like 2 or 3 years ago, and I still consider it one of my favorite anime of all time. Like it's never gonna leave the rotation.
It's not a
It's been-
phase, Mom.
It's really not, and it's been that way for 10 plus years, 15 years. Since it came out, it's been in my top anime of all time for good reason.
Yeah.
I recommend people watch Code Geass so much. Season 1 and 2. Do not watch anything else past that because it doesn't exist. That is,
I it's been many years since I watched Code Geass. I want to rewatch it because I want to see if it still
Same.
holds up for me. And another one that came out around the same time that I haven't watched since I was a teenager that I really want to rewatch again to see if it actually holds up or it's just nostalgia that makes me think this about it is Death Note.
Death
I
Note?
want to see if it actually holds up or if it's just rose-tinted glasses when I
So-
look back at it.
Very quick sidebar. I rewatched Death Note not too long ago while I was in the army with a buddy of mine. It's still fucking good, dude. It's still a roller coaster, man.
I mean, until you
Good
get
show.
to the last, like, what, 5 episodes?
I still like the ending. I'll tell you that.
I don't know about
like
that,
the
bro. There's a certain point where they should have stopped Death Note, and we all know what I'm talking
We
about,
all know
right?
what you're talking about, but considering what I'm okay with the ending.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It completes the full story arc. I understand that. I still don't care. I'm very upset. It should have ended where it should have ended.
That's totally valid.
Now, I didn't
Fair
know I
enough.
could make my 3x3 like you, where I had the actual poster, so I kind of just zoomed in on the show, so you can't really see the anime titles. But yeah, Code Geass, Lelouch of the Rebellion, highly recommend. Like, that is, again, I'm very biased. As I've said, I am very fucking biased. Okay,
There he is.
I am very biased in some of my picks here.
I put Spice and Wolf on my list. I mean,
Oh, but I just think it's a good time. You need to watch it more than once because there's a lot of stuff that goes into Code Geass that will make you reevaluate certain aspects of it. You know, like certain characters where it's like you might have hated in the beginning, but then now you realize like they did what they had to do, and it's unfortunate, and it's all unfortunate, and it's just like, oh, dude, it's so good. And you know, this is a show where it uses a lot of character deaths for good. And that's one thing that I really appreciate about Code Geass, because there's a lot of shows out there that will just start killing people left and right for no reason. Jujutsu Kaisen, where it's just like instead of using a character death to like, they just use it just because they want to, not to just like, and it won't have an impact on the story. You know, like in Naruto. You know, Naruto is a really good example of that. Like, I love Naruto for that reason, because just like Code Geass, it will use character deaths to be like, not only to just move the story along, but to show that there are stakes involved.
especially toward the end.
That's a slight spoiler, Natai.
I don't know.
Don't get too attached.
I'm leaning back as like I'm scared.
oh, bro, you're not ready for Naruto. It's so good.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. I have Clannad After Story. Now, I love Clannad.
You like
I don't
some
have
dango?
my poster up of it anymore. I don't know where.
Dango.
I have a poster. My very first anime merch I ever bought was a Clannad poster, actually. I used to have it up, but now it's folded and put away because it's kind of like, you know, it's 15, 16 years old or something now. It was I bought it from an anime store, and it came from a Japanese magazine, like as one of those inserts into the actual like comic, like the magazine. So you pull it out of there, and then you fold it out. It was super cool. My first anime merch purchase I ever made in my life.
Merch purchase.
And I just merch purchase.
Merch purchase.
And I just absolutely love Clannad. I understand that it's got very dated character designs. It's not good to look at.
Bug eyes.
But I love the big bug eyes, the antenna, freaking, it looks not great. But
one of the characters legit looks like a cockroach.
But I just feel like the story itself is still really good. I can get past the art and stuff because I don't need to watch Moe Blob, okay? It's not always about having good Moe Blob. It's about the characters and the story that it tells.
This show has some fucking Moe Blob, all right? In a good way.
It's a great romance, and also it's very sad.
Yes.
Bro,
well,
every
especially
time
After Story.
in After Story, when I get to episode 13, right, with drunk Nagisa, and she says the shit that she says, I go, you bitch, don't you say that. I have future knowledge now. Don't you say that. It's just so good, and it's also very realistic in how it portrays like what happens afterwards, you know, and it's just like things about dealing with loss and how it's sometimes someone who like brings your world together, if you lose them, it kind of just destroys it as well.
Yeah.
That's something that, especially back in the day with a lot of romances, like you didn't really see that very often, which is also why I really like Rumbling Hearts, which is another great romance if you want to watch something
make
that's
you cry.
Like, well, it's going to make you cry, but you know, the thing about Rumbling Hearts and Clannad After Story is that it's very realistic in its portrayals of how complicated relationships can be. How things sometimes get messy, even though you don't, like, you know, from an outsider looking in, you can think, like, this is the logical thing you should do, but it's like, when you're placed in the shoes of the main characters in these shows, it's like I don't know if I could make the same calls and be like, oh, you should have just manned up, you should have done this, you should have done that, because it's hard. You're not experiencing the loss that these people have lost, and it'll fuck you up, bro.
It's such an
God, love
endearing
that.
cast as well. Like all these characters are so much fun to watch and interact with each other. And like the first season is mainly just like a fun show to watch. Like I
Yeah.
don't think like it's just a good time, but seeing like just spending all that time with the characters make the payoffs in after story hit that much harder. You know.
Oh yeah,
it's
beautiful
great.
soundtrack.
The
Love the
soundtrack
soundtrack.
is great. Great
Which
soundtrack.
is also tuned by Ada, I think? Question mark?
I'll look it up.
Okay. I trust
While
you.
he looks that up, I'm gonna move on to my third.
It's another great soundtrack show.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Cowboy Bebop. I do I have to talk about Cowboy Bebop? Doesn't everyone? I feel like Cowboy Bebop is in everyone's rotation of top 10 anime of all time. Like this is just undisputed among all anime fans, right?
In the West, yes. I don't think
Speaking of-
I don't think Cowboy Bebop is very popular outside of the West.
Speaking of banger soundtrack,
Yeah,
Like
Cowboy
Bebop.
Bebop has. First of all, I really like the old art design. Like I like anime's art design when it was like looked realistic and didn't
the
look
late
like Moe
90s?
Blob. Late 90s, early 2000s style of art where it's like, yeah, realistic. I like that art style. It's timeless, and that's why it still holds up and looks great to this day. Amazing soundtrack, amazing story, fucking phenomenal story. Yes,
the music of Clannad was composed and arranged by Jun Maeda, Shinji Orito, and Magome Togoshi.
I see.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And who did the soundtrack for Cowboy Bebop?
Yoko Kano, the great Yoko Kano.
The great,
The goat. The goat.
the goat. Yeah, I feel like I don't need to expound too much about Cowboy Bebop. Like, why is it a great story? Because it's a found family. There's about fighting demons from the past and trying to get over it, and sometimes those demons come back to haunt you because you can't let go of the past. And I just fucking love Cowboy Bebop. I feel like everyone loves Cowboy Bebop though.
Such a great show.
It's one of those things that you just say it and everyone knows exactly what you mean when you say it.
Yeah,
like,
and
yeah.
it fucks you up a lot at the end because like you get so invested in the characters, especially Spike, right? When you get so invested in the main character of the show, Spike Spiegel, and then when you get to the end and what happens, it's just like, dude. Like, again, from an outsider standing in, there's a lot of people who be like, oh, I can't believe they chose to do that. They're all stupid, like this and that. But it's like, you don't understand the depth of grief this man had, the demons he was fighting this entire time, and how sometimes your found family isn't strong enough to get you to fight those demons off for you. And it's just like, you have to do what you have to do. And it's just
Sometimes
like,
you can't
it's like,
escape your past.
yeah, sometimes you can't escape the demons. And you have
Sometimes
to,
the only
decide
one that
to
can help you is you.
Dude, it's so good.
That's what Monogatari is about.
Bebop is so good.
Yeah.
So
It is.
Yeah,
Agreed.
highly again. Everyone loves Bebop. Go if you've never seen Bebop, go watch fucking Bebop right now, this instant. Like,
Shoutouts to the movie
I would
as
say-
well. Great movie.
Heaven's.
Knocking on Heaven's Door.
Yeah.
Not
yeah,
enough
yeah.
people are talking about it, and I feel like maybe we should review it sometime because it's a
We've
great
never
watch.
done a movie review of it. and-
We should definitely.
Have we
do
not?
that. No, we haven't.
We've never done a spoiler cast for Cowboy Bebop either. We did one for the Netflix live action show.
Well. Look
What
at how we
Netflix
always
show?
talk about certain shows that we absolutely love that we've never done spoiler casts on.
What Netflix show? What are you talking about?
shut up.
I didn't hate it. John Cho does an okay job. Okay.
I didn't hate it either. I didn't really like it, but I didn't hate
No,
it either.
I hated it at the end. Definitely hated it at the end. But I gave props to John Cho. I thought he played a pretty okay Spike Spiegel.
The guy who played Jed was great.
the guy who played
Also
Jet Black,
really good. Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
great. Yeah, 100%.
This
All right,
fuck-
moving on.
Anyway, moving on.
Speaking of a show that can make you cry with one ending song,
Bro, Anohana. I absolutely love Anohana. And it always makes me sad watching Anohana. But I love Anohana. It hurts you so good. Because again, it's also about loss. It's about trying to come to terms with loss and accepting it. Also amazing soundtrack, you know? Let's go. Galileo Galilei.
I'm sensing a pattern here, John, that is a little bit beyond the scope of what you think the theme is.
The theme is that all these shows fucked me up, but also they also have a really great soundtrack. That was not part of it.
Also,
they just all happen to have great soundtracks.
Another great ensemble cast.
Yes.
The what do they call this stuff? The Super Busters or something like that. This entire I think that's what they call. I'll check it, but this entire cast of characters, they're so compelling, and it's so it's great seeing them fight with each other and just hash things out and get so mad at each other, but you see that their shared grief is something that they're trying to work through together. It's an ugly show to some extent with how they act towards each other, but you see how through that that harshness they come through it together. It's fuck, man. I think about that ending every now and then, that ending scene with all of them.
Bro,
man, God damn it!
Oh, it's so another show we've never done a spoiler cast on, but we constantly talk about one of Mario Okada's finest works.
They're just playing hide and seek, bro.
Bro, we found you.
This fucking show.
Dude, as much as I would like to do a spoiler cast for Anohana, and I would, we should just do an episode where we talk about Maria Okada's fucking anime that she's written.
I feel like I'm the only one who watched Oh Savage Maiden or Oh Maidens in Your Savage Season, right?
I am planning to watch it before our next monthly dump.
I get to review that for the next monthly dump because I did watch it. I binged it.
I am planning to finish it by the time we do our next monthly dump.
But yeah, highly recommend Anohana because it has an amazing soundtrack and it's very sad. Again, all of these are sad at certain points and for certain different reasons. But this one is just straight up sad. This made me. I rewatched it recently because of the whole Galileo Galilei getting back together thing, and I rewatched it for the third time, and I was like, oh, it still fucks me up. It's still so good. Anohana's so good. Highly recommend it if you want to watch a sad show with an amazing soundtrack, and it looks good and
a great cast.
It's a lot more modern too.
It still
compared to the other shows.
Still looks great.
Still looks great. Now, I think that there are some parts in it that could have been written better, for specifically...
It's very melodramatic sometimes.
Well, there's specifically two of the characters in the ensemble cast that I felt needed more time to breathe and stuff like that, but that's kind of a complaint I have with a lot of Mario Okada's works, where it's there are characters that I wish you would expound on a lot more. But I get that, limitations because of time and whatever.
You could say that about every character in Keys Never.
It's like you said, it wasn't her fault. They had to condense 3 seasons.
It wasn't
into
her
one.
fault. Trigger said we can't give you 3 seasons.
3 seasons in a movie.
All right. Next one is Grave
Buckle
of the
up,
Fireflies.
boys.
Now, is it cheap that this movie is based on historic events and it was a very sad historic event?
I don't think so. I think that makes it more poignant.
We did a review on Grave of the Fireflies, and
we did.
It was Chinoda that was like, I'm gonna watch this. Was it right before work or something, or right before we went forward?
He watched it right. He watched it 2 hours before we actually did the recording.
And I asked him, bro, are you gonna
like,
be okay? And he's like, yeah. Why wouldn't I be okay? I'm like, all right, bro.
And then he gets on. He's like.
He's like, I'm not okay. And I'm like, that's why I asked you if you would be okay, because you're going to watch Grave of the Fireflies and you're not going to be okay.
Honestly, I think that actually was good for our review because we had one person on who came off a fresh watch of it who had never seen it.
Oh, dude.
Bro, I feel so bad for him. Oh my God.
So, I mean, I don't know how popular Grave of the Fireflies is. I certainly know that in people who enjoy Ghibli movies, they understand that this is the saddest Ghibli movie you'll ever probably watch. because it
Yeah.
deals with World War II, like dealing with the fallout of being firebombed in Japan.
I can tell you, it's certainly not the thing that when we say, what's your favorite Ghibli movie, most people don't say Grave of the Fireflies.
You
I
don't
don't
see
think
a whole lot of
people
people
would just
clamoring to rewatch this movie. Not for like
No.
it's just
no.
really
I
rough.
mean, here's the thing about Grave of the Fireflies: it fucks you up. It fucks you up good, and it's good to watch because it gives you a lot of perspective. And it's a very sad story, and it's a very realistic story that happened to quite a lot of people in Japan. It helps ground you, and like war happens and the travesties of war, and this is literally like this is a made up story for sure, but it's based on like thousands of people who had to live through it like this.
Yeah.
It's very sad. I
It's
still
also-
highly recommend people watch it.
It's also beautiful. Like it's absolutely gorgeous. This movie.
Visually, I think it's held up very well.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
definitely.
Like most Ghibli movies.
Like most Ghibli movies, yeah, they all kind of hold up pretty well.
And like most Ghibli movies, the soundtrack is just elevating this movie. Like
yeah, I
like,
mean, is it cheating because we use Joe Hisaishi? Like, I feel like it's
he's
cheating,
just
right?
that good.
It's like when you use Hiroyuki Sawano. Or I feel like it's just cheating at this point.
Or Kevin Penkin.
Or Kevin Penkin, and now with Evan Call, like it's just cheating. There's just certain composers that it's just like this is just cheat codes. But yeah, I purposely put it in the center square because like this is probably the saddest movie. The one that fucked me up the most because I remember during our rewatch, like the first minute 13 seconds, I'm just like I started bawling. I'm just like, nope, I can't do it. I can't do it. Because of the bones inside of the little candy tin, bro. I was like, nope, can't do it. Can't do it. I know what that is. This makes me sad. Oh.
Also, a quick correction for Natai. Joe Hisaishi did not actually make the music for Grave of the Fireflies.
Oh, did he not?
The music for Grave of the Fireflies was composed by Michio Mamiya,
Oh, okay. Michio Mamiya.
That's right. It
Still
was a
great
different
soundtrack.
composer. Yeah, I keep forgetting.
who died last month. So R.I.P.
Oh, rest in
R.I.P.
peace.
Yeah,
Thank you
so
for
I just
making
had
me
to have
cry
this
like
on
a
my center
bitch.
square for just probably the one that fucked me up the most is this in my entire list. But again, all of these shows on my list fuck me up for different reasons. Some of them good, some of them bad. Which is again, I probably should have put Gurren Lagann on here because it does fuck me up for a different reason at different points too.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
So on the next on my list is Angel Beats, and I probably should have replaced Angel Beats with Gurren Lagann on here just because like it's Visual Kei and it's Jun Maeda. So again, because I already have Clannad on here, so it's probably like I probably should have chose someone else who did the writing. But it is what it is.
It still fucked you up.
It still fucked me up because I really enjoyed Angel Beats, and Angel Beats is a lot different compared to the rest of these shows because it's more comedy than anything.
Take chance and luck.
Dude, I love was it TK? Was that his name?
TK.
TK? Like what the fuck does he say? It's like goodbye. He fucking jumps out the window or whatever.
Jumps out the window.
I love that guy. Oh god. But Angel Beats is it's more comedy than it is anything else in a genre, and I guess a little bit of romance towards the end there.
Shout
But
outs to the best
it's,
German suplex in anime, period.
But
I don't
when
know. That
you-
German suplexing of the deer in Nichijou is pretty damn good.
True.
Now, yeah, I feel like I should put Gurren Lagann here now because it's like, yeah, Angel Beats is good, but I don't think it's as good as Gurren Lagann. But, I
It
feel
sure
like
hits you.
Still worth
thematically,
watching.
Yeah.
I still think Angel Beats is worth watching. Fortunately, it doesn't have the Moe Bug-Eye Blob design. It's more modernized and it looks a lot better. Though
still,
it does,
it borders on Moe Blob a little bit.
well, I just think it's a fun show. Because it's very comedic, and then it's also very tragic when you start learning like what the story is about. Like it's about a guy who dies. He becomes a doctor, and he's training to be a doctor, and then there's an accident, and he dies.
That
But
backstory is whoa.
He saves like a bunch of people before he dies, so then he's like sent to purgatory, And while they're in purgatory, he meets a bunch of people, and they kind of just like, oh, we're part of the student council. We're doing this and that, and it's just like a comedic fun adventure until it starts not being a comedic fun adventure.
Some of the backstories you get in this show are like heartbreaking, which again goes to
dude.
like my sort of like gripe with this show is that they build this like ensemble cast of so many cool characters, and you sort of get more and more of their stories, and then there's like a certain point where they're like, we need to end the show. Goodbye to all these characters. Without, like,
because
getting...
it's like it just has to move on.
Yeah,
but
and it's
yeah, like
it's
I feel like,
but it's still a great
God,
show.
the Eurype backstory thing super sucks.
Yeah,
super sad.
Yeah,
The Yui backstory, bro. Oh God, I loved Yui
the
so much. I
guitarist-
hated her, but I loved her. The
the
guitarist,
guitarist chick
oh,
is
my God.
so good. Oh. It's great.
Yeah,
it's
so
it's
it's
a good
just,
show. It's just frustrating
show.
that it could be an amazing.
The ending
show.
could be better.
It could be better towards the end, but still amazing soundtrack. Love it. Absolutely
Worth
adore
watching.
the music used in it. It's
Yeah.
It looks great, and it's gonna fuck you up at the end, bro. Oh God, that ending. Oh,
Don't cry, John.
Moving
It's
on.
okay.
it's
Arasaka
okay,
Tower.
there's something in my eyes. I'm not crying,
Ara-
guys.
Arasaka Tower, all the way to the top. This fucking show, man. Oh my god.
I was gonna say, John, it's okay. I really want to stay at your house.
Oh, stop. So
Good.
this might be recency bias, but I wasn't expecting much when I was like, oh, it's Cyberpunk. I was like, well, it's Trigger, so 50-50, you know. They burned me on quite a lot of shows lately. But
They cooked.
Boy,
But
did
I was
they
like John.
cook.
I went in with very tempered expectations, like cautiously optimistic, because obviously it's Trigger. I want it to be good because I love Studio Trigger. But also I'm thinking, this is just Cyberpunk. It's like fucking product placement. What are you doing?
But this is more, it's very actiony compared to the rest of the shows. I'd say it's about, I'd say it's a lot more actiony than Code Geass, to be honest. Code Geass is more drama and thriller than it is action compared to Cyberpunk.
I thought you were talking about other Trigger shows. Like, what are you talking about? Trigger shows got lots of action.
No, compared to the other shows on my list, like this is probably the most action-oriented one because there's a lot of fights and combat, which is super cool.
I would agree. Yeah.
I like the Cyberpunk idea and the world and stuff like that. And
It's a shame the game wasn't as good as the anime.
bro, this anime revived like the game. Everyone wanted to go
I
back
know.
and play the game because of that.
Honestly,
crazy.
there is a world out there where this anime doesn't happen, and Cyberpunk 2077 is just a completely forgotten game. I 100% believe that.
Cyberpunk Edgerunners saved Cyberpunk 2077 the game.
No joke. Like, I 100% believe that.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't played it. I can't tell you, but I can tell you that I feel like I knew the ending was coming. Like from a mile away, I knew that ending was gonna happen because it's Cyberpunk, so there's no way that it ends well. Like
But the fact that they go through with it still,
And they'll
like,
just
makes
tease you with it.
Yeah, it's like I think like the fact that they went with it, and it, like by the end of the show, you're like, man, like that's another show where you're like, fuck, dude, you end it, and you're like, you feel kind of empty on the inside, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
you're like, man, it's a man.
yeah, this is
show.
definitely a binge-worthy show for sure.
Definitely.
Yes.
It's got classic Trigger action. It's got classic Trigger writing, but it's also got like more enhanced writing from the writers at CD Projekt Red as well, and just
phenomenal lighting
Dude.
as well. Like I think it
ending
needs
just fucks you
mentioning.
up. It just
Like in terms of production, the lighting in this show fucking rules, man. Like they go take the cyberpunk aesthetic and they crank it out to 11. It's crazy.
And
I also
I
think
also
it's
think the
crazy.
voice acting in this was phenomenal for both English and Japanese.
Yes.
The
Yes.
dub was
I-
awesome.
I think it's crazy knowing what I know now because we went to a panel at Otakon where Masahiko Otsuka was there and he wrote the screenplay for Cyberpunk Edgerunners, and he said the original draft of his script had a very much darker ending.
Oh no! Oh,
A
geez.
much darker ending.
No, I don't want that. I like the ending.
Listen, you think about that ending scene, you tweak it just a little bit when she's on the, you know where she is, and it's like, oh, Oh no! Because I remember watching
No.
that and thinking it's gonna go there, and thankfully it did.
Oh,
I know.
Oh,
Thankfully,
that
it
is exactly the ending he had in mind for his first draft, by the
Bro.
way.
No,
I would have.
Bro,
I don't know what I would
I
have
need
done.
no. See that I would have hated that because like no, it was what was the point? Oh no, I
That
like
would
it
have
because it's
crushed
kind of,
me.
I liked it because it
Also-
was kind of a bittersweet ending.
Also, congrats to Studio Trigger for like standing their ground and with CD Projekt Red when they said you got to take Rebecca out. They're like, no, the lowly stays.
They send a samurai sword to a CD Project Red.
We have-
Say
No,
no
literally-
cuts.
No, literally, it was just 3 words. The response was 3 words. The lowly stays.
No, they pull a Oh my god, who's the
Hayao
one who's-
Miyazaki.
Yeah, they pull a Miyazaki. Send the samurai sword. No cuts.
That story is even funnier now knowing who he sent that sword to. Because he sent it to Harvey Weinstein.
Oh
It's
god.
amazing.
Also,
like, speaking of
another
Rebecca-
show with a phenomenal soundtrack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of Rebecca, like the entire, like also the side characters are so fun to watch and they're so compelling. You get attached to them so quickly because this is a very short show. It's like 10 episodes. It goes by quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
all released on the same day, right? It
Yeah.
wasn't a
Yeah, it was on
Yeah.
Netflix.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think I could handle watching this show without binging it because it's just nonstop. Because that's
had
one
to
thing with
space it
Trigger
out,
shows,
man.
right? It's kind of like nonstop action. Like that's what I expect of Trigger. You know, I think of
Yeah.
freaking Kill la Kill. I think of Gurren Lagann, where it's like I gotta just watch all of it. I can't
Yeah.
stop in the middle.
Yeah. Even an anime like BNA, as bad as that might be compared to some of their other shows, it's like it's so binge worthy.
It's still a fun watch. Yeah.
Dude, BNA could have been so much better. It was
It could.
BNA was
it was
alright,
middling.
though. Yeah.
It had one
Banger
good
OP,
song and it
though.
kept using it. It
Banger
had one
OP.
good song and it kept
Banger
using
OP,
it.
though.
Anyway,
All right.
moving on. So, Natai, you've never seen Plastic Memories.
So I haven't seen Plastic Memories, no. But
Okay.
I do
Alex, you've
plan
seen
on.
Plastic Memories?
Yes, it's been a while, but I've seen it.
So, this is more like a romance slash sad show. The main premise of Plastic Memories is that there are these robots that exist in the society that people kind of become attached to for different reasons. Like, oh, my son died when he was like 12. You are my replacement son.
Oh,
And now we have to deactivate the
no!
robot. And it kind of follows around the main character guy and also this robot girl who's kind of like the assistant and helping like retrieve these robots to be like, we have to like decommission these robots for one reason or another. And each episode we cover, or each episode or two, we cover a different story in this world for like different people in their loss. So
I already know where this is going. Fuck.
yeah, you can already know where this is going.
Oh no.
Very sad. Also phenomenal soundtrack, great music, good character designs, and it's just this is kind of like an Anohana situation where it's like this is sad for sad's sake. I don't think it's as impactful as Anohana because it doesn't have an ensemble cast. It's more of an episodic, like we go into different people's lives and we learn their story, and it's just like, oh, this retired couple lost their son, oh, this person lost their sister, oh, this person, and it's just like, oh no, oh
you say it's
no.
more
You know
episodic?
what's what? Yeah, it's
Would you-
more episodic.
Yeah, it's-
Okay.
Well, it's just like learning about the loss of people and how they lose their loved ones and how they cope is what the show is
Yeah.
about. And also there's the main girl and like her story, and that's also really sad. It's all sad. It's just sad.
You know what's funny, John, is that I think that if like androids, like sentient androids, ever become a thing, first they're going to be made into sex bots, of course, but also, secondly, people are going to want to recreate their dead loved ones with it. 100%.
Oh my
100%. Bro, people get attached to the weirdest, smallest, stupidest thing. Like when we had to kill the rover on, was it Mars?
Oh yeah, Opportunity.
Yeah, we had to kill Opportunity, and everyone got so sad over it. It's just like there's a stupid robot that's dying that we can't save on Mars. And
That was a missed opportunity.
God damn it.
no, but like it would sing like Happy Birthday to itself and shit like that. It was
Yeah.
like you just like do stupid, silly things, and that's the thing about humans. We get attached to some of the silliest.
We
stupidest
anthropomorphize inanimate objects a lot.
and it's just so if we had sentient androids where we could literally input memories into them, so we could relive our loved ones, like and when we have to decommission them, it's just double the fuck you because now you killed this person twice.
Yeah.
Very great show. Very much recommend.
I'm looking forward to watching it for the first time.
Are you looking forward to it, or are you just like, I'm looking forward to it?
Again,
Listen, okay.
my entire list is.
I'll
Go
say
ahead, go ahead.
this. I'll say this because I love this theme of your list, and you know why? Because I'm a big believer that sometimes a good cry is good for you. You know, like
Yes.
Like long story short, I watched Anohana twice. First time, I loved it. It hit me, but then I wasn't like devastated. And then a few years later, after I was in a very bad place or whatever, I was after a breakup. I don't know why. It was like 10 p.m. I was just like scrolling through Netflix and I saw Anohana there. I'm like, fuck it. And I binged the entire show that night. And man, I needed that because by the end of that binge, I was all out of tears. And you know what? The next morning, I felt way better. So I put a lot of value in shows that can get you to have a good cry, because sometimes that's all you need, man.
Oh yeah,
So I
like
appreciate
my entire
this
theme
list.
of these shows fucked me up is like they fuck you up, but not in a bad way. Like none of
Yeah.
these shows left me with a bad taste in my mouth of like I hated that.
Yeah.
They're shows that make me empathize with a lot of different scenarios and situations. For like, there's certain shows that have heroic sacrifices. There's shows about getting over grief. There's shows with that show you different aspects of like how people deal with grief. I guess outside of Grave of the Fireflies, where that show is just sad for sad's sake. Like that's just a sad thing in general. Like I can't. Oh God, Grave of the Fireflies. Highly recommend. Highly recommend people go watch that. But also Plastic Memories, and I feel like Plastic Memories is one that's not a lot of people talk about anymore. I remember when it was airing, a lot of people were like, "Oh God, this is gonna make you sad." Kind of like Anohana. But I do see Plastic Memories and Anohana always on people's top 10 like sad animes or animes that will make
Yeah.
you cry for
Yeah.
good reason.
Yeah.
For good reason. One is dealing with grief, and the other one is watching other people deal with grief.
Yeah.
Oh God, watching other people deal with grief is so
Empathy.
dude. It's
Whoa.
And then Grave of the Fireflies is like an actual struggle session.
Ugh.
Grave of the Fireflies is the roughest of this list.
It
but-
takes a piece of your soul on the way when you watch it, It's
Yes. To say the least.
So the last one is Violet Evergarden. Again, we've talked about Violet Evergarden so much. Have we ever done a spoiler cast on it?
No.
God,
But now that it's
why are we like this?
now that it's completely over, we do need to do a spoiler cast on
We
the
should.
whole thing. The show,
We
the
should.
OVA, and the movie.
I absolutely adore Violet Evergarden. It was KyoAni.
Yes.
Beautiful.
We got to see John and I got to
Absolutely.
see this before it came out.
Yeah, we got to see the
amazing.
first 2 episodes.
No, just the first episode, but then
Just
we
the
also
first
got
episode?
a live performance of the OP, and we got
That's
a
amazing.
interview with a live interview with
Yui Ishikawa.
Yui Ishikawa.
Yeah. The,
That first episode
voice actor
is
for
awesome. Such a good episode.
so good.
It's a great opening to
and
the show.
Very much like Plastic Memories, Violet Evergarden is you have the main character who has her own struggles and stuff that make you sad, but also like the entire story is, if anyone hasn't seen Violet Evergarden, I can't imagine people have not watched Violet Evergarden because I feel like Violet Evergarden is very popular.
It was very
of a
popular.
show.
When
I
it,
still
it
think
was
it's
airing,
still
it was
very
very
popular.
popular.
Because it looks really good. And that's one thing that KyoAni does really well. They have really good looking shows, which attract a lot of people to watch it. But it's a great story about dealing with grief and watching, again, other people deal with grief. Phenomenal show. Phenomenal soundtrack. I believe the soundtrack is
Evan
by
Cole.
Evan Cole, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
The frieren guy.
yeah, phenomenal soundtracks all around for all my shows, and also they all fuck you up. And
Yeah.
that might play a part in why all these shows are so good, because a good soundtrack can really help set the mood and set the pace
And
for you
elevate.
Definitely.
and elevate these pieces.
Yeah.
And,
Shout outs
yeah.
to to Dio.
Oh
Dio
yeah,
is in this show. And
Dio
he's
is
said
in
this
phenomenal.
anime, yes.
But all jokes aside, I'll say this in case like the viewers and listeners, some of you haven't watched the show. Episode 8 is
Oh,
one of my favorite
God.
episodes of all time, and I think it's actually like a work of art. And I've watched that episode 3 times by now. Every single time, it still gets me, and I think
Yeah.
it's the like it's definitely my favorite episode of the show, and it's like there's so much emotion and nuance to it, and it's so beautiful. And that sort of like pain you feel watching it, that sort of like heartbreak, but also there's warmth in it. I think it radiates throughout this entire show, and like I think KyoAni cooked. They nailed it, and I think they
Yeah.
got something real special here.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
sure.
Here's my top 3x3 of animes that fucked me up. Highly recommend all of these shows.
All right.
Honorable
great
mention
picks.
to Gurren Lagann as well. Everyone should watch these shows.
Great picks, dude. I love that.
Yeah, all great picks. All right, we'll move on to Natai's
All right.
3x3. Here it is.
So 2 things. I tried to find like cool art or screenshots from the show that like sort of represent things I loved about them.
Fair enough.
And I will say I didn't think of something that creative as you guys. I was like, okay, here are like some of these. Most of these shows are in my top 10, aside for 2, which we'll get to eventually. But it just shows I felt like talking about because I think it's been a while. So 7 of these are in my top 10. The other
Okay.
2, we'll get there. So you said what's left to talk about Cowboy Bebop after there's so much been said, because that's my first pick.
Yeah.
Well, I just feel like if we had a list of a list of top anime of all time, Bebop should be in the top 10.
I
I just
wager
feel
to
that
say,
universal.
Definitely.
That
I
is
would
a
wager to
universal
say-
top 10
no,
pick.
I would wager to say if all 4 of us were forced to, even Shinoda who's not here, I would wager to say if all 4 of us are forced to sit down and list out our top 10 anime, at some point in that top 10 list on all 4 of our lists, Cowboy Bebop's going to be there.
By the way, quick point, I do like that I have overlap with both you, Alex, and John's 3x3s. So, but we'll get there. So, I think the beauty of Cowboy Bebop is that you can watch it as many times as you wish, and every time you watch it, you'll come away with it with something different. You know, like
Yeah.
I like watching it for the first time. I loved it. I love the cinematic influences it has. Like it wears its inspirations on its sleeves. You know, it has.
I love how smooth the animation is.
It's so
the fight
smooth.
scenes that are literally used to this day because
The
people liked it so
jazz.
much.
the
jazz.
the blend of genres this show has. Like one episode is literally like a horror episode, the other is a western themed episode. Like this show has so many, like it's a canvas of all different things that cinema has to offer, and it's beautiful for it. And it has, and in that process it creates such a unique voice of its own. And aside from all of that cool shit, you get all these like wonderful characters that you get to meet and interact with and see how they, again, we talked about this a lot, but progress through their lives and with their hardships and whatnot. And I think it's a very mature show in the sense of you watch these people struggle and you're like, I can totally relate to that, you know, because they're all like grown-ups for the most part. Like Ed is the odd one out because she's not yet been exposed to the hardships of the world she's a part of. And it still sticks with you. Like every now and then I'll think about like a piece of music from that show, or like a certain shot or interaction or piece of dialogue. I still haven't watched this show in Japanese. That's how much I love this dub. And I think there's something to be
I've
said
actually
about
never
this.
I've actually never watched Bebop in Japanese either.
I
only
have
watched
not
it
really.
in English.
Because
I've
Dude, the
never
English is
watched
so
it in
good.
Japanese.
dub, bro. It's so good. And I'm looking forward to the next time I rewatch it to see if something else will be my takeaway from this show. It's
Another anime
phenomenal.
we've never done a spoiler cast for. We should.
Maybe we should.
We will never review this animes that we actually consider the top anime of all time. Like,
I know, right?
but I feel like part of that is because the anime that we consider top anime of all time are also in a lot of other people's lists. Like, there's a reason why.
Yeah.
They're all
yeah.
universally acclaimed and loved, for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bebop is great. Again, I'm looking forward to rewatching it. It's still fantastic, and
Oh yeah, like I believe we were at it was at Otakon, right, where we showed Chinoda the first episode because he'd never seen
that's right.
Bebop.
Oh yeah,
'Cause
because
never-
And then he was
seen
just like,
Bebop.
dude, that was so good. Like, do you want to watch more? And it's like, yeah, I want to watch more. I'm like, me too. Let's watch the second episode.
bro, like I can still see that opening scene of Spike walking in the rain with that tune playing in the background. Like that soundtrack in itself is like a treasure troves of fucking awesome tracks, one after the other, and it's they
Bro, I'm never gonna
Fuck,
forget Steve Bloom. Steve Bloom.
Yeah, that's who
Steve
does the
Blum.
voice of Spike.
Why do you call it bell peppers and beef if there's no beef? It's just bell peppers.
it's a
Love
great
it.
fucking show, and
Phenomenal.
Yeah, it's absolutely
I
phenomenal.
love a woman who can kick my ass.
And again, I will say it
Do
again.
I look like I have any money?
Another anime with lots of quotable lines.
God, I love it. God, I love
again,
the show.
Shoutouts to the movie, banger movie. We should watch it. It's great.
Also, I think one of, if not the only, Jewish lead characters in an anime.
I guess,
Is he Jewish?
yeah. I mean, yeah, they said
According to
Spike is-
Watanabe, he is, because Spiegel is a Yiddish name.
Oh.
yeah, which is funny.
He was
moving
asked
to-
one time if Spike is meant to be Jewish, and he's like, yeah, I guess so.
Yes.
Spiegel. Moving along. Next pick is Monogatari. As Alex said, we have
Is there a specific season, or is it just like Monogatari in general?
my favorite season of Monogatari is ORI season 2, probably. But
wow.
usually when I talk about Monogatari, it's like as a whole, because I think it's like such a it's so interconnected, and there's so many different sections of it that I love from different. Like literally, my favorite arc of the show is from second season, but it's not my favorite. You know, it's like it's a whole thing together.
Is it Hitagi End?
No, it's Tsubasa Tiger actually.
Oh, Sebastian.
She's my waifu for a reason, bro. Come on, you know that.
I know.
But Monogatari gave me something that I never expected. It like broadened to me what like an anime can be. And I know that sounds super pretentious, but I think it's like watching this show for the first time and seeing the Shinboisms in it and the fucking weird animations that it went with, like the crazy editing, the way it just throws you into the story, doesn't hold your hand, and like these are the characters, go with it. And when you decide to actually go with it and take that leap of faith, again, if you click with it, it's one of the most rewarding watches I've had ever. Like watching along with the show, analyzing it, keeping track of like the whole timeline, what's going on, and like it's such a
See, that's one of the problems that I feel like Monogatari has. Again, its greatest strength is also its greatest weakness. You have to pay attention. You can't watch this passively. You have to analyze
can't watch it
shit.
passively.
Like if you have ADHD, this is the absolute worst anime for
worst.
you. You're not gonna know what's happening. You're gonna hate it.
Definitely. Like when my first rewatch was with my buddy Ariel, and when we watched this together while we were at the army, every single episode we stopped and we talked about it for like 15 minutes.
You have to like talk about it
because you
dissect
just
it,
have to process
analyze
what
it.
and honestly that's one of my favorite watching experiences like ever. Just like watching this show slowly, getting through it, and every single episode just talking about it. And it's that sort of like that whole thing, and still like the one of the most rewarding things about it was watching like stories like Hanekawa's story, which if you know about her stories, like resonated with me so much that like it got me thinking about like myself, my life, how I view myself. And it's like when a piece of media does that to you, gets you to self-reflect like that, like I think that's just fucking awesome. Like that's something like why not celebrate, you know?
Yeah. I also feel like, like you mentioned, this is directed by Aki Kishimbo. I feel
Most of
like
it.
when your name has become the name of something in a creative process, that's how you know you've done something special.
Shinboisms.
And now they're
Do
talking
be
about
like that.
they're talking about anime now that have, or not just anime, just stuff in general that has really fast cuts. Shimboism or Shimboistic.
That show is very. That's very a shin. That's a very Shinbo cut. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
But like he's. And again, that's even not talking about the soundtrack, the voice cast of this fucking show. Like we talk about the voice performances of this show, and it's like where do you even start? Because like it's such a packed voice cast.
Speaking of which, Hiroshi Kamiya, who voices Araragi, just very recently celebrated his 50th birthday.
Which is insane, because it still looks like 30 something.
He looks like he's 25 years old, but he's 50.
Again, as Alex mentioned, we have dozens and dozens of hours of us talking about Monogatari on the channel.
Something like 27 hours worth of content just talking about the Monogatari series.
It's never late to jump in and give it a shot, even if you don't like it. I think it's worth giving it a shot to see what it's all about. So that's my 2 cents on Monogatari. Next up, Showa Genroku Rakugo Shinju.
Bless you.
Yeah, Gesundheit.
My favorite drama of all time, probably. John,
That's
have you
great.
watched this one?
No, I have no. I remember you guys talking about it a lot.
This is back when Studio Dean was actually making fucking bangers.
Remember
Oh,
that
Lord.
back-to-back, that fucking back-to-back of Konosuba and Rakugo Shinju? Was it winter 2016, something like that?
It was winter 2016, all the way through. I would say like 2017 as well. Like they had Konosuba, this Rakugo. I just call it Rakugo. They had Haven't You Heard I'm Sakamoto? That was also
that
Studio
Dean?
Dean.
That's Dean.
Yes.
Oh my god! I completely
they had,
forgot
like,
that was Dean.
Banger after banger back to back for like 2 or 3 years, and we were all like, "Is Studio Dean actually saving anime?"
That was such a funny meme looking back.
Boy,
Let's be honest.
boy, they were definitely not saving anime. They got their medication and they
But
stopped taking it.
But I will forever be thankful for Dean for bringing us Rakugo Shinju, because this. Okay, so
It's 2 great seasons of an anime.
it's so Rakugo, is a piece of art, is a performance of just is a story. It's pretty much storytelling. It's a performance of one person who is like sitting on his knees. He has a few props and he's telling a story all by himself, just portraying different characters. Someone once said it's a sitting stand-up, pretty much, which is I found that
That's
funny.
a good way to describe it. Sitting
and-
stand up.
And we talked several times about like these shows featuring like mature characters and grown-ups, and this show is also a very mature show in the sense of you see all these characters interact with each other and have these very complicated relationships, but very human relationships. This show is, if you're like a fucking cinema geek like me, is a wonder to watch. There's
Absolute cinema.
absolute cinema. Some of my favorite directing in anime period is in this show, and it's like there's so much to dig into. But aside from all that fluff, it's just a really compelling story about these people being super passionate about their craft and keeping that craft alive, even though it's like somewhat passing away from their world, And yes, Alex.
I remember back when we were watching this when it was premiering and airing. It was when Riker was still on the podcast, and I remember him saying, "This is like something Scorsese would make if he were Japanese." I'm like, he's not wrong.
It's not wrong.
Doesn't
'Cause it's-
Scorsese hate anime though? What?
I don't
I
think
don't know if he hates
he-
anime.
He doesn't like superhero movies. I can tell you
Yeah.
that much.
It's not about the superhero movies for sure.
Never actually heard him talk about animation in general, so I don't know what he thinks
Excuse me.
about anime.
Good question.
I assume he likes Ghibli movies like every other Hollywood director.
But
But he
John,
makes damn good movies, I'll tell you that much.
John, you need to watch Rakugo Shinju. I'm super curious to see what you think.
The
of it.
only Rakugo show I've ever watched is Joshi Raku, and that was hilarious.
It's totally different.
It is hilarious, though.
I love Joshi Raku. That is a hilarious show.
Which is funny because that is an anime about female Rakugo performers, and up until very recently, Rakugo was thought of as a men's only club.
By the way, ages ago we talked about like period pieces. Rakugo Shinju is like for the longest time because there's a big chunk of it that takes place in the past. Like you get that sort of like itch scratched. I feel like the way it portrays that older era of Japan.
Most of the first season takes place like shortly after the end of World War II. Doesn't
Yeah,
it?
correct. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's the second season has a bit of a time jump. I think it's like 15 years.
No, way more.
20 years?
Like he's an old guy by the end of.
Now,
by the
I forget
beginning of
exactly how
season
long
2.
it is, but there's a significant time jump in the second season.
Go watch it. Give it a shot. First episode is 45 minutes long, but I promise you, it's worth it. And it's if you're even a little bit curious about this show, just go with it. Give it a shot. It's a gem, and I feel like it's kind of been lost to the conversation in the past few years ever since it came out. Deserves the acclaim. It's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal show. All right.
Moving on.
Full Metal Alchemist. All right, so both shows are in consideration for me when I talk about FMA. Both 2003 and Brotherhood, because I love both. Obviously, let's get it. Let's set things straight. Brotherhood is the superior show. I do feel like 2003 got a lot of things really right in terms of the music, the atmosphere, the pacing. I think is really fucking good as well, and the action is great. And even though it has, and like the second half of it is anime original, I think it goes in really dark, in a dark direction that really suits this show. It's like very melancholic. It's very kind of like, melancholic is the way I would describe 2003 in general, which I think is why I vibed with it so much. Have both of you watched the original show?
Yeah, I've watched both.
And I was so disappointed by the Shambhala movie.
Oh, Conqueror
Conqueror of Shambhala
Shambhala.
is wild.
Yes.
Conqueror of Shambhala is wild.
the Conqueror of Timothy Chalamet. What?
The Conqueror of Jambalaya, yes.
The Conqueror of Bob Dylan.
I mean, after watching
Got him.
Ian's video about
I got him.
Is he okay?
Alex is dead.
Oh God, I
killed
almost did a
him.
legit spit take. Jesus Christ.
After
That
watching
was
Ian's like review of
Fucking
like
funny.
2003 versus Brotherhood, I was like, all right, I'm done with the cope. He's absolutely right.
No, he's
Brotherhood is the
wrong.
No,
No, Ian's right.
Ian's
right.
right
about 2003.
he's right. He points out all the
context.
flaws. I'm like, I can't disagree with him.
For context, Ian made an hour-long video taking down FMA 2003, and
He does put out some points to saying there are some parts about it that are genuinely
Yeah, there are
good.
some parts, and I feel like 2003 had better music. Like I do. Maybe
yeah.
it's bias.
It's a
Maybe
phenomenal
it's because
soundtrack.
they have Asian Kung Fu Generation doing Rewrite, which is the
Banger
absolute
openings.
best song.
And if you want to
Banger
lob,
opening.
if you want to lob a criticism at Brotherhood, the first like 7-8 episodes are like breakneck pace
Yeah,
because
they
they
yada
tend to
yada
yada
over all
over
of
a
it.
lot of stuff.
they assume you watched the original show, and I think
It does. It 100% assumes you've watched the original.
which will forever make it valid, in my opinion, to say watch the original show and then watch Brotherhood, because you get two really good shows. Why not? You know,
I'm just gonna go and read the manga at this point. Like, fuck it.
sure.
I've seen both of the shows, and now I gotta go read the manga.
And I will say, I think that Brotherhood is better animated overall. than
Sure.
2000.
Again, Brother is the better
yeah,
show. I will never.
When
like,
was it
take
made?
that
Like
away
10
from
years
it.
later?
Like 2008, I think is
2010?
when it came out.
Was it
Was it?
2010?
Hold on, I will look it up.
I'm curious.
I want to say it was 0809, but I could be wrong about that.
also,
It was
like,
later than that.
I think it's still 2010, but I might be wrong. Maybe it ended.
2009.
Oh wow.
Okay, well there you go. And it
mean,
was like
still, 6
60
years
something
later.
episode. Yeah,
Yeah, it aired from April 5th of 09 to July 4th of 2010.
there you go. But yeah, both still phenomenal shows. Bones at their best in both eras, I would say.
Yeah.
Like you get some amazing cuts in both shows, and I think again, like you get different things from the different shows. And I think, and I'm glad I watched both versions because I think like there's room for both of them. I don't think the original show is invalid now that Brotherhood is a thing. And this is all with like without us even saying, like the story in this show and the character in these shows, like it still holds up. Like you're in it. You're in like the quest the brothers are on. They're dynamic. The people they meet on their way. Like and like the show still has all that like shonen fun things around it, but inside of it, it has that very compelling story with like really like philosophical questions that brings up that like not a whole lot of shows like brought up since, like the value of a human soul, right? Like that's a big question to bring up, right? But and I do like how they tackle it throughout the show, you know.
Yeah, it's great. It's a classic for a reason. Kind of like Bebop.
Yeah. And like we talked about the OPs, like
I feel like a bunch of our top 3x3s are just like normie picks, right? Like, top shows from their perspective, like the most normie lists I've ever seen. Like, man, I'm surprised none of us have some like weird avant-garde pick for like, oh yeah, it's actually really.
I mean, Monogatari.
I mean, other than Monogatari, because you guys are freaks about that. I still haven't watched all of.
Only Alex
Owari
loved the incest shit, bro.
What?
Only Alex loves the incest shit. I'm okay.
You're
I'm not
okay
here for the fucking incest.
Sure, bro. I remember.
Plus,
bro, there's a recording of you. Like, don't. I know what sounds you make when you watch this show.
Okay. Anyway, Brotherhood.
moving on.
Great. Moving on.
My favorite show of all time, probably. It still hasn't changed, but I do need to rewatch it. So, Bakano. So, John, you watched Bakano for the first time. How long ago was it during Secret Senpai?
We did that like a long time ago, like 5 years.
That was
like
a while ago, right?
Yeah, when I first watched Bakano, and I was like, all right, I hate to admit it, but Ty was right. Bakano was pretty good.
Wasn't it? Didn't you watch it during our first Secret Senpai?
That was the first
Maybe.
Secret Senpai. I think
it was the first
so,
Secret Senpai. That would have been like
2020, I think.
2020? Well, wow. It's pretty recent. Oh my god, it's 2025.
Time.
We're getting
time.
Time is a concept.
No, because I think that was the first Secret Senpai we did was for anime we rated like 10 out of 10 or like
That's
our
right.
best, like 8, 9, 10 out of 10.
Have you?
My caveat was that to me, Bakano was like an 8 or a 9 out of 10. There could be some improvements. And especially the OVAs. I did not like the OVAs. I did not understand why they existed. It really threw me out of the loop. I was like, this Bakano was way better without those 3 episodes. That they should just not exist, in my opinion.
But they circle back to the old man and the kid by the end. It's cool, you know?
Yeah, but like, as much as I love Sugita, I did not appreciate Jack.
Jack.
I don't know what Jack.
I don't know what Jack.
I don't know what Jack.
Bakano is, I still feel like it is like, again, shit, I feel like Bakano was made specifically for me. I love gangster shit. Like Godfather is one of my favorite shows. I love New York and Manhattan. Like that's just a setting that like immediately like I'm in whenever it's in any show that it
The
is.
dub does a great job with the voices.
The dub is phenomenal. The best dub I've seen. Period. Bar none. Nothing comes close. Sorry.
Now, I will say that Bakano, when it did air, was like a cult classic.
Yeah.
The people who love Bakano absolutely adore it. I don't think a lot of people know about Bakano these days, though, because it's so much older than
I think
a lot of
you hear
shows.
more people talk about Bakano as their favorite show, but you don't hear people talk about it as much, if that makes sense.
I just feel like the newer generation of anime watchers don't even know what Bakano is, and
I mean,
it's a very
again,
it's a
case.
It's a cult classic series.
But it's
Doesn't help its case that it's ended.
Yeah,
And
but
it's been over for a very long time now.
because this
Okay,
is
but FMA Brotherhood has been over for a very long time now. FMA has been over for a very long time now, but we still talk. People still talk about FMA.
True.
True.
There's
something special about this because like the shtick of this whole show is that it's told out of order. It's not told in a chronological order. So every episode you jump between time periods, different perspectives of the same events. So you slowly piece together the story of this show. So, I mean, going back to Monogatari, what I said about it, that whole like engagement I had with this show is something that I never experienced with a show beforehand, and like led to this like really fun and like an engaging experience of watching this show, still being intrigued by it every single episode, piecing together the story of it, but it not taking away from the enjoyment of like these characters. Because we talk about ensembles all the time. This ensemble of characters is wild.
Massive.
Like you have,
Super
it's
fun.
massive. It's a massive cast, and all of them are super entertaining. You are like you get attached to them, and you want to see them like succeed. And some of them you get attached to, and they're like the villains of this story, but you still like are kind of rooting for them. Fucking Lad Russo, this fucking madman. He's so much fun to watch, even though he's like a maniac. This show never gets old. Banger soundtrack as well, and maybe my favorite OP of all time, possibly.
It's pretty good. It's pretty
Phenomenal
good.
show. Phenomenal show.
It also takes place in the same universe as Durarara.
You know, I haven't watched Dororo yet.
Written by the same person, right?
Same writer, yeah.
Yeah, the light novels are written by the same person. Yes.
Correct. So yeah, go watch
Gonna say
Baccano.
something- Oh, the best name for anything ever in an anime is in Baccano, the Flying Pussyfoot.
Flying Pussyfoot.
What a
Best train.
phenomenal name.
Best train. Period.
What a phenomenal name.
If I get one viewer listener to watch Baccano, like I've done my part. That's all I need to hear. So,
He's trying to infect the rest of the world with Baccano.
Just watch
He's gonna create a
Baccano.
Baccano craze.
phenomenal show.
Baccano actually sounds
listen,
like a legit virus.
Listen, I need a season 2. I need it if I ever become a millionaire. That's all I'm gonna do. I need a season 2 of this fucking show. Man, I need more. And I know the books are done, and there are way more books
Yes.
aside from whatever the show covered.
Yeah.
All right, moving along. JoJo Part 4. So we talked about JoJo, so I will try and keep it brief. But Part 4 is the peak of JoJo for me.
Great does it.
Goreto does it. I think it has some like Part 5 has the best squad. I won't take away from it, but Part 4 I think is in terms of the anime, I think it's my favorite take on JoJo in terms of the production. The way that Morio is painted is like very otherworldly place. Like it feels like a lived-in place. Like the way like the color palette of the show, the way like the sky is yellow, and the way like
It looks very
characters-
different from any other part of JoJo's.
Definitely,
Right.
Like characters move from different scenes to each other. It just Part 4 just like is again, we talk about like the whole idea of, okay, we're gonna take the story and keep it in one location, and by the end of the story you feel like you lived in this location. And I think it's such a cool like idea and kind of a cool challenge as a writing, like for Araki as a writer, and it leads to some of the best fights in the series as well.
I'll probably mention this again when we talk about Part 4 in our JoJo's review that we've been doing. Morio almost feels like an actual character by the end of the story. Like the actual setting itself feels like a character, and that's actually impressive. When a writer can do that, it's impressive when they can make the setting feel like an actual character.
And Part 4 also has the best JoJo's villain.
Exactly.
He's very
Exactly.
handsy.
It's very hands-on, yeah. But exactly.
He's very hands-on.
Like I can that's the thing. I can talk about that villain all day long, and that's just one aspect of this show.
But can you do the monologue?
I need my script ready, bro. I don't have it. Right. Where's my script? Best OP in the whole show with great days. Personal favorite, at least for me. Phenomenal show. Absolutely phenomenal.
I won't argue with you on that one. It's a damn good OP.
When we'll get to the OP ranking, there will be bloodshed. I
Bro,
tell you right now, there will
I have
be blood.
words. I have words.
So you watched Part 4, right, John?
Yeah. I just haven't watched Part 6 because you guys always talk about how bad Part 6 is, and I don't want to
I
watch
never
it.
said Part
No.
6 is bad.
I
That's
talk
only
about how bad
Alex.
the ending is.
I love Part 6.
Listen, I
Part
love
6 is
part
good.
5. I was like,
I love
okay,
the villain for part 6 a lot. Poochie's great.
I
He's a
don't
good
know
dude.
anything about part 6 other than it's Jolene. That's all I know about part
Jolene.
6.
Jolene,
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 Jolene.
Jolene. Yada yada, dawa.
Dawa.
But yeah, we'll when we get to the part 4 spellcast, like you will hear me gushing. I will have extra underwear on just for case. Just in case. Like there will be
Keep
no
your hands
filters.
close.
There will be no filters. But yeah,
Oh man, you're gonna hate it when I'm on that episode with you, dude.
bro,
Part 4 may not be my favorite
ready.
part. Bro, get ready.
get ready. I'm
You're
ready.
gonna hear the cynicism. You're gonna hear all of the complaints.
I'm
Popcorn
so
ready, boys.
I'm so ready for it. But yeah, so JoJo, definitely one of the shows ever. Part 4 is like special, man. Moving along, I'm happy like I'll get to hear from John's perspective on this one. Probably my favorite romance of all time with my teen romantic comedy Snafu.
See, I can't call it one of my favorite romances because the girl that I wanted to win didn't win, you know?
Bro,
So-
same. We both lost.
We both lost, so that's why I can't. Like,
no
obviously,
justice for you.
we know who is gonna win from the get go. I just feel like apparently in the light novels they do a better job at like setting it up towards the end because the anime kind of like yada yadas over a bunch of stuff that makes it better at the guys getting together. But Snafu's just really good in general. I would agree.
It's a great. I think like even if you put this romance to the side, I think that journey that Hachiman 8-man does from the beginning of the story to the end, where you get that very like very almost self-deprecating kind of like persona that he has, but by the end show you come to the realization that like this is not something to look up to. This is not someone to like idolize, but this is someone that like needs to look deep down to himself and come to terms with his own like flaws, right?
The thing about Snafu is that it's a good show for people who want who have grown and have retrospective amongst their about their younger self, you know, like Hachiman coming to terms with like, you know, me being a loner on purpose doesn't make me holier than thou. Me choosing to be alone and all this other shit does not make me better than them. And understanding that it's still important to connect with other people and appreciate other people and them helping you out and stuff. It shouldn't always just be about you doing self-sacrifice and thinking you're better than them for some reason. Like it deflates your, like deflate that fucking ego of yours. You are not better than anyone else.
It's so crazy because from the get-go you have a best sensei. You have her like pretty much
who really should have won. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Who from the get-go she like spills the whole theme of the show to him. But then when you first watch it, still you're like, oh man, like Hachiman's like he's like such a cool guy for being like, I don't need that youth shit, right? And you kind of like lured into that same mindset of like sort of like identifying with him to some extent. But then when you get to the second season, then from there, like the end of the show as well, the third season, you're like sort of like, oh no, that's like there's something wrong with like going about life like that, you know, like people care about you, like you can be like all tormented and stuff like that. Maybe helps you like distance yourself from others, but the people that care about you will suffer for that. And like that whole like process and like development that he goes through in the show, like I think it's awesome. I think like it's cool that a show is not afraid to like be so critical of its main character like that, you know?
Right.
I hate to burst y'all's bubble about who should have won in the end. I just want to tell you there was only one person he ever wanted to cook for, and it wasn't none of those girls, okay?
Get out of here.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
Apparently there is a Snafu like dating game out there where you could actually do the game room.
All routes are
like,
legitimate.
And I am like, you know what? Whoever developed this game, good on you for committing to the bit.
It is a funny bit. And it is a fun show. Like the dialogue is super witty. Like I love how like sharp some of these characters are, especially like the back and forth Hachiman has with Yukino and Sensei, and like his interactions with Yui, my beloved. And it's just a like when
Yeah,
it's
hello.
not yeah when it's not crushing you the way season 3 did for me every single week when it aired. Like it is a good time. It's like again, by the way, shout outs to the soundtrack. Like that shit's like will get me to cry like that in an instant. It's crazy. I love that soundtrack.
Also, shout out to my girl Sakura Miko. It is her favorite anime.
Is it? I did not know
Yeah.
that.
I didn't know that.
It's why she starts every single stream with "Nya hello."
I did not know that. That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
Snafu is her favorite anime of all time. She absolutely adores it.
So those were 7 of my top 10, and I think it's pretty solidified. Maybe things will change, but like when I picked these few shows, I was like, okay, I want to talk about them because it's been a while. These next two are creeping up on being on my top 10 because as time went on, I'm like, man, like they stick with me. So Chainsaw Man. I
Dun, 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 dun.
have not read the manga. I'm not planning on reading it yet. I am hyped for the movie. Even though I only watched the
Bro,
first season. Listen,
I have no words to talk about the Chainsaw Man
Listen.
manga.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
I will say this. Even if whatever anime adaptation comes our way and it's complete shit, I still think season 1 is like gonna be one of my favorite seasons of TV ever.
Bro,
I
if
think
the movie
season 1
sucks,
is amazing.
if the movie sucks, we're gonna hear so much copium out of Natai's mouth. It's not even funny.
No, I'll be
I don't think the movie's
disappointed.
gonna suck.
No, it's
I
gonna
don't
be
think it is
great.
either.
I'm just trying to set the bar how much I love this first season because I know it'll get better from here for people who read the manga. I know it'll be crazier from here.
Those Mappa animators ain't going home, so it's gonna be good.
But I think what they pulled with season 1 in terms of like the vision they had with it, in terms of like the direction, how cinematic it felt, and like the whole just when it comes to production, the fact like there's the reason I picked this picture of it's like the like a collage of all the EDs. We got 12 EDs, 12, 13 EDs of this fucking show, all bangers, all different like art styles and visions and like direction and just like concepts. And I like as someone who's a freak for OPs and ADs who doesn't skip that shit, I love it. I loved every single bit of it, and it's always like I'm astonished about with the work they put into this season. I think it's incredible, like it. It's amazing.
I really appreciated the inspiration with all the shows, like all the movies, how cinematic it was. I really love the anime. I think it does a bang up job. It made because I read Chainsaw Man before the anime came out because everyone was talking about Chainsaw Man, and I was like, okay, what is this? And I started reading it, and I'm like, okay, it's kind of all right. And then it gets to later, and I'm like, okay, it's fucking amazing. Like, what the fuck is this? I think that the anime does a really good job at conveying the feelings that the manga is supposed to elicit from you. Though I disagree with a lot of the people who hated the anime because it didn't follow like the manga one for one.
That's so stupid.
It's
because
such a
the stuff that
strange complaint.
The anime original stuff they added, all it does. It's not like they added a bunch of different story beats to it. All they did was like add stuff
gave
that was already
time.
there. Like
Yeah.
they added extra flavor text to stuff that was already there.
Aki's morning routine. What more do I need to say? You have like a 3-minute section of an episode of just following this guy's morning routine. No dialogue, just his action.
And it's not in the manga, so apparently it's bad.
And it's beautifully animated. There's so much detail, and it's like it's just one small
and
moment.
it gives you insight into the character,
Yeah.
like how he's set in his ways.
And like there's so many small moments like that. Like one of my favorite moments like is Aki going to Makima's office, and right before he's about to knock on it, there's like they have this like nice mirror effect to his hand right before he knocks on the door. He stops. He's like like getting all cool and fancy and stuff, making sure he's looking good before he's going to see the boss. And like that whole moment of him just like, letting it breathe. The show lets their characters breathe. And then when he goes to her office and he talks and he's like excusing stuff that happened, and she see through that light that she does the cubic stare, which is like, she's doing that face. And again, like as a movie nerd, that shit got me. I'm like, oh, that's so fucking cool. Because the attention to detail in this season is amazing. And like I've seen this show twice by now, and I'm already wanting to watch it again. Like I can't get enough of it. And no, I will not read the manga yet. Not yet. I'm so hyped.
It's great. It's great anime. It's the people that are criticizing it for adding the anime original stuff that just adds flavor text. It doesn't add any like additional story stuff to it. Just fuck off.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Yes.
Adds
These
up to make
map
it better.
animators
No,
were
we don't
chained
want you
up
to
for
make it
30
better.
months.
Giving us extra content and stuff. Like, no, I hate that.
I want it exactly like the page. I'm super hyped for the movie, though. I can't wait for it to come out.
Yeah. Oh, I think
Me too.
Rize arc is really good. So,
and it's kind of like tailor made for a movie.
I keep hearing that. Which makes me super curious.
Yeah, it's tailor made for like a hour 45-minute 2-hour long movie.
Oh, so, yeah. Dude, I wonder how they're gonna end that arc. Are they gonna end it where I think they're gonna end it? Oh, dude, that's gonna be so upsetting if they end it there. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait for people to be like,
what you mean is it'll be upsetting for anime onlys.
yeah. It's gonna be upsetting for anime onlys if they end it.
You're gonna hear my scream throughout the world when that movie ends. Bro, I'll go watch it like 5 times if need be. I need that shit, man. I need it. I need it so bad. My hand is vibrating because I need more. But anyway, so yeah.
That's called Parkinson's.
So yeah, I love Chainsaw Man. Okay, let's wrap it up. So last but not least, so I finished frieren like a month ago after taking my time with it.
Finally,
after taking my sweet ass time with it. So I agree with every word you guys. I will. I agree with every word you guys said earlier about frieren. I will say this: the moment that cemented frieren for me as fucking special is, and I won't get into spoilers, but watching the second half of it was really fun. I loved the final arc, like the exams and whatnot. Like I loved every second of it. I loved the characters they introduced. But throughout most of it, I'm like, man, like I'm having a great time. But I feel like maybe we kind of stirred away from like the core of this show. For me, the emotional core. Lo and behold, you get to like the penultimate episode, and you have this one small scene of a flashback of an interaction frieren has with a certain character. And that like 5-minute scene got me almost crying my heart out. For I was not prepared for it to hit me so like right in the feels, And if you know, I assume you guys know what I'm talking about.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
because that whole theme of your actions affect other people, even if you're not aware of it, kind of ties to another movie that I love, which is Your Name. But that moment, the way it was presented and the way it sort of like turned the whole show for me, how I view it, was so effective and was so beautiful in the way it was presented that I was like, fuck yeah, I love anime so much. And that, because it do be like that. And this show is like, whether it's the world, the animation, the music, the whole sort of like meta narrative to it of, this sort of like veteran going through this world without like, it's almost like as I saw it at first, was like, it's like, you can see it as like a very like as someone who's watched a lot of stories and went through a lot of stories, so it just goes through the motions when experiencing them and doesn't stop by to like actually appreciate what he's reading or consuming. Like there was something neat to it, I thought. But at the end of the day, just the emotional beats of this show just like hits so hard, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And it was fucking special, man. Like, it deserves all the hype that it got ever since it came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of want to go read the manga just to compare it to see like how, because everything about what I like about frieren definitely comes from the anime. Because it's
Madhouse cooked,
dude. Yeah. Hopefully they do a season 2 and keep the quality up.
Wait a minute now. Wait a minute. We've seen what they do with extra seasons.
They already announced the season 2.
Have they?
Have they?
Yeah, they announced.
Oh my god, 2. I didn't know that.
Yeah, like 2 months
well, hopefully they keep
a minute. I've seen what they did to Overlord. Wait a minute.
I mean, bro, Overlord was bad from the beginning. What are you talking about?
Listen. Give it.
You know the anime is not good. You know the anime is not good, bro.
Bro, all I'm saying
is... The soundtrack is great.
All I'm saying is give it to 8-bit. They'll do fine.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, I just want to compare and contrast, like, how I am with a lot of, like, manga. Like, what makes it... Because frieren was hyped up before it came out with the anime.
Yeah.
A lot of people
yes.
liked the manga. So, you know, like, does it live up to the hype? Like, Chainsaw Man surpassed the hype. It blew my expectations away. So I want to see frieren is kind of, like, in the same wheelhouse. But at the same time, I also... am quite enjoying being an anime only because now I don't have expectations.
You know, it's funny you say that because I feel the same way about frieren, but I also am starting to feel the same way about Apothecary Diaries. I want to go read the source material and see if it's as good as the actual anime.
The manga is not further than like the anime right now because anime is in season 2. It's only slightly further.
Really?
Like,
I still want to.
It'll be caught up in like 4 episodes to where the manga is. So if you want to see where it goes, you're gonna have to go to the light novel. Just
is it a light novel or is it a manga?
It is a light novel.
Oh, it's a manga.
But Apothecary Diaries.
There is a manga adaptation.
There is a manga adaptation, but the manga adaptation is only maybe 2, 3, 4 episodes away from what season 2 is at right now.
Maybe I want to go read the light novel too, just to maybe gauge and see how it handled the story any differently.
Yeah, I should probably start reading the light novel for that too, since I'm already caught up on the
But
manga.
I am curious in the same way I'm curious with frieren, whether like obviously there was hype for, there was a little bit of hype for the Apothecary Diaries too, but we never actually saw anything about it. But
for frieren, there was buzzing before it did.
There was a ton of hype for frieren.
For Apothecary Diaries, I thought it was your stereotypical like, oh, a lot of people are freaking out about it because it has a beautiful guy in it. You know, like a lot of B shonen like shows
I thought
have
that
hype.
too.
It's true. A lot of B shonen shows just have hype around them, just in general, from all the fangirls. So it's kind of like, yeah, you know, hit or miss.
Look, I'm just saying, as someone who's watched like yaoi bait shows a lot, we're used to seeing pretty boys.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't wait for the frieren report whenever John decides to read the manga.
Eventually, I don't know. I've got a million other things I'm reading right now, so.
But yeah,
anyway,
I can only hope season 2 will be as good as season 1. But yeah,
I can only hope at this point. If it sucks, whew, I'm gonna.
I mean, if everyone from season 1 comes back to do season 2, like I think we're in good hands.
Should be good. Anyway, so yeah, that's my
Madhouse. Ask for help if you need it, please.
So that's my 3x3.
All right. It's all good picks. All of us had great picks. I mean, I know John said we went with a lot of the safe picks, but I still think a lot of these are great
safe picks. I said a lot of our picks are just like normie picks.
Yeah.
There wasn't a
like
whole
things
lot
that would not be out of place in a top 10 anime of all time list.
Yeah.
We didn't get to argue about the validity of the choices, I guess. You know.
No, I mean, again, I just thought it'd be fun to do a top list, and then we all just have random themes.
I couldn't think of a theme I was like satisfied, so I was like, "Fuck it, I'll talk about shows I really like."
If I had to put a theme on yours, Natai, although I guess this doesn't really apply to Bakano, but most of the anime that you have chosen have a very strong central trio of characters.
They're all ensemble cast.
They're ensemble cast.
I wouldn't
Aside
say
from
they're
Chainsaw
all
Man
ensemble cast.
and Frieren.
I wouldn't say Frieren is an ensemble cast.
Also, Rakugo Shinju is not an ensemble cast.
No, that's a very small cast.
Go watch Rakugo
a lot
Shinju,
of them-
for God's sake.
Yeah, please.
I'll champion that
More
show
people.
forever.
All right. Well, that is our 3x3s. I
Yeah.
hope you all enjoyed it. I will move us back
Bloop.
to here. Bloop. Boop.
That was massive.
Yes. Yeah, this was fun. I hope the person who mentioned us doing more 3x3s in our YouTube comments enjoyed this a lot. It was kind of
Tell
fun
us
to put
what's
these
your
together.
3x3 down below in the comments.
What's your
Yeah,
top
make it
anime
3x3 for
3x3?
us. And let
Yeah.
us see if we can guess a theme.
Yeah, there you go. That's not a bad idea. But anyway, thank you everyone for dropping in to watch us do this. Do not forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff if you like what you saw and want to see more. Check down below where you can find links to all the stuff Anime Club After Dark does, as well as a link to our merch store if you want to purchase some Anime Club After Dark merch and help us out that way. I'm dying over here. I should not try and do all that in a single breath. With all that being said, I have been your host, Alex, and we will see you next time. Say goodnight, everybody.
Good night, John. Go to sleep.
I can't
Go to
believe this
sleep.
ran for over 2 hours. I thought we'd be done an hour ago, to be honest. Oh God.
We had too much
I
to say about
always-
the shows.
I always severely underestimate how much we can fucking just yap.
Yapology.
I mean, haven't you learned, John? We spent dozens of hours about the fucking anime in Monogatari. You never learn.
That's
You
true.
never learn, John.
You never learn. Anyway, all according to Keikaku.